In a world of uncertainty, where economic storms can arise without warning,
there lies a tale of two animals, cows and buffalo. The cows, sensing danger, flee in panic. They run with uncertainty, finding themselves caught in the storm's path for longer.
but the buffalo, with unwavering courage, embrace a different strategy.
They charge headlong into the storm, recognizing that by facing it directly, they pass through more quickly and emerge stronger on the other side.
What is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? What's going on? Please let me know you're here in the chat. Say hello. Let me know you're here in the chat. Got some questions already coming in. We got an amazing day planned. Can't wait to hang out with you guys. We have some incredible speakers. I told you guys that at the end, I've been jotting down all of your questions. And at the end, we're doing a Q&A, so stick around and I'll make sure that I stay on for as long as you all need to get every question that you have answered. I can't wait to share with you some of the speakers that we have. I did get a good question that I'm going to spend a couple minutes on. Somebody said, and I got a few of these. So we sent out the back of the napkin analyzer, and I think there's a few people that want to take it for a quick test drive. So just kind of do like some mock deals. And I saw that question this morning. I got it a couple times yesterday after we sent this thing out. So if it's okay with you, I'll just show you guys how I kind of run the back of the napkin analyzer for just a real quick deal. Now, if you weren't here yesterday and we didn't talk about the back of the napkin analyzer, then hey, the host has disabled screen sharing. Thought I was the host. Vanessa or Morgan, can you give me the rights to share? There it is. All right, so you guys got a copy of this back of the napkin analyzer. This thing's pretty cool. Morgan just dropped it in the chat. So if you don't have it, go ahead and download this. Remember, this is just to get like base level stuff, figure out if you're even in the ballpark, but I always recommend obviously underwriting a deal a lot further. So let's just do this. I have a deal under contract right down the street. It's actually, I can see it from my office building here. It's a 32 unit apartment complex. What's going on here? It's a 32 unit apartment complex. The projected rents that we're going to get on this thing are $11.50. So we're going to factor in a 7% vacancy, economic and physical. Remember, economic vacancy, physical vacancy are two different things. Physical vacancy is the unit is empty, no one's living in it. Economic vacancy is the unit is occupied, but the tenant is not paying rent. Both of those are actually vacancy. It's just one of them is actually physical versus economic. So I'm going to assume a 40% expense ratio. I think what the calculator did here, and my acquisitions guys update this all the time. So he has a formula in there based on the unit count. And I think if I'm playing with it, it's over 100 units, it goes up to 50% expenses. If it's under 50 units, it's a 40% expenses. And I think if it's under 20 units, it goes to 33% expenses on the assumptions. So that's pretty cool. He added that. They're tweaking this thing all the time. So it actually will go ahead and update your annual expense figure. You can go in here and just manually hit it. So if you wanted to be at 35%, like you can go in there and manually override it, but it'll override basically by how many units you have, because our expense ratio trends up based on the bigger properties. So This property is right in Murfreesboro. I would say it's probably a 5.5 cap. 4.48, which makes sense because I was under contract for and I'm putting 155K into it. Just under 5K a door. So what I'll tell you guys is it makes a lot of sense. Market cap rate is actually a 5.5. You might have to expand this because it does the assumption. So make sure you expand that digit so that you can see, because every basis point when it comes to cap rate matters. So this is a 5.5 cap. I had put it under contract at 4.6 million. And then we did some inspections, ended up walking away from this deal. And then it came back to us. And now I'm under contract for 4.275 million, which you can see is under my target price for this property. So it's not at 85%, but it's a great little deal. 80s build right in my backyard. So
this is Brent's.
Let's get that muted. So that's kind of that's one back of the napkin. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, that's in Murfreesboro right here in my backyard. We should be closing on that one. It's a loan assumption deal. We're actually buying it for about 12% less than what the owner paid for it during the peak. So when I tell you guys these opportunities are there, we're assuming a Fannie Mae loan on this thing. So when I tell you opportunities are there, just stay patient because we're buying it for cheaper than what the guy bought it for 12 months ago. So there's a whole situation there that I can go into. So that's kind of how you would do a quick back of the napkin. Let's just say, for instance, we have another building here in Murfreesboro that's 93 units. Our average rents are about 1,100 on it. We have probably a 5% vacancy number. We're 100% occupied. Yeah, the link to the back of the napkin analyzer was already dropped in the chat. Why is this a good deal? I could list all the reasons: the tax benefits, the cash flow, the appreciation. I'm buying an asset for 130 a door, and my building just down the street appraised for 165 a door, and these units are bigger. I'm assuming a Fannie Mae loan at 4%. This is an 80s build property, brick on slab. I could go on and on why this thing's great. It's way better than cash in the bank or anywhere else right now. So depreciation, cost seg study, everything like that is what we're doing on that thing. So it's a smoking deal. This building, 93 units, 1,100, 5% physical vacancy. I'm probably at a, 5.25 cap. We're trending at a 33% expense ratio on that deal, which makes sense. So, I'm actually at a 34% expense ratio on my trailing 12-month figures. And then we've put all the money into that building. So 14.6 million is what the back of the napkin analyzer says. And that's kind of close because we just appraised for 15.5 million. So we just appraised for like 900,000 less than what this says. So if you had made this, if you made this your target offer price, that'd probably be pretty good buy. There's justification that the cap rate's a little bit lower. And then also, we could probably push the rents a little bit. So you just got to remember in this back of the napkin analyzer, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because we got to get into the presentations, but I had a lot of questions about this. Just remember, your potential rent is not your current rent. So what you can always do is if you get a deal, right? If you get a deal that is way below market, you can plug in your analysis. Let's say these things were rented. Let's say they were rented at, $900 and I knew I could get 1,100. Then I'm going to want my offer somewhere to be between 12 and 14 million because I don't want to pay for that upside like we talked about yesterday. So if you just need to understand the current market value for an offer and then the future potential market value, and your offer should be somewhere in between. Now, we talked about not paying for upside on the front end, but you also have to understand that, if there is upside in the deal, you need to know what that is, because if you're only buying on currents, you might get outbid by someone who knows there's a ton of upside and is willing to pay for at least a little bit of it. Yeah. I don't know what this, be honest with you guys, my team added this 1% rule in here. I think it's just 1% of, if I look at the formula, I'm not sure why they calculated it that way. C7 divided by 12, which is your gross potential annual income divided on a monthly basis. I'm not sure why they put that in there. We were talking about the 1% rule. Looks like they added it. You guys can remove that. It doesn't relate to anything else. Yeah. And then, so great question. I will initially stress test my deal with the vacancy number, the rents. I'll stress test it a lot with my rents, my projected rents, what I think I can get, what they're currently getting. I'll stress test it a little bit with vacancy based on how much, where the building is and everything like that. But a stabilized asset, remember, vacancy might be higher in the year 1 and year 2 when you're repositioning and stabilizing an asset, and then it may stabilize out to like 5% in years 3 through 7 or something like that. But you need to have an average in there. And then the biggest one that I'll stress test is the market cap rate, just getting a basic understanding of what things traded for in the market. And one of the reasons I put not only purchase price in here, but I also put price per door is because this is a negotiation tool sometimes. Like sometimes your best bet is to anchor or leverage a price per unit offer versus a maximum purchase price offer. Sometimes it just sounds better. And also, a lot of times what I'll do is I will attribute some of these price per units to things that have traded in the market. And then when things have traded in the market at a price per door, like I can say, hey, listen, that asset, down the street, I know that just sold for 110 a door. At 110 a door, this property is worth $9.9 million. Like I'm trying to do a little bit better than that, but that's what that asset traded for. And I can usually anchor with a price per unit versus just throwing out a bulk number. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I kind of stress test some of the stuff in here. And I hope this was helpful for you guys. I mean, I wanted to just explain it for a couple minutes. I'm doing a Q&A at the end. So if you have more specific questions on deep dive analyzing deals, remember, this is sort of like a first pass. Should I look at this thing further? You can even make sort of a soft offer to a broker from this back of the napkin analyzer and say like, hey, it looks like I'm coming in between, 12, 14 million. Is that even worth, writing on an LOI? And then they'll give you some guidance and say like, yeah, I think you should write it up, or, hey, no, we have offers for 16 million. And then, you can spend more time somewhere else. Cool. All right. So let me pull up the sheet, see who we got coming on. I love if you guys turn on your cameras because I love to see your faces. Please be engaged. Yesterday was amazing. We'll do some takeaways. I did the back of the napkin stuff instead of takeaways, but we'll do some takeaways at the end. I want to bring up my next speaker. And this guy is, him and I have done over 400 units together. Just a really cool guy. He is got like over 2,000 units in his portfolio and has done a ton of full cycle exits. He's been doing this for quite a while. Ultra marathon runner. His wife is cooler than he is. You guys probably know who I'm talking about by now. But Jason Yarusi is just a good human being, man of integrity, and he works really hard and knows his stuff. So I would get out your notepad. For the woman who said that we talk really fast, you have no idea how fast Jason talks. So I would figure out how to slow it down somehow, because he's gonna he'll hit you with some content pretty quick. So make sure you have your notepads out. I can't wait to bring up Jason Yarusi, let him blow y'all's mind about the team that you need to build. Yesterday we talked acquisitions, underwriting, asset management. We're talking team building, raising money. We talked raising money yesterday, CRMs. We're talking about all this stuff. So everything that everybody we put on stage, we're doing for a reason. And I hope you guys get some great content for this. Let's bring up Jason.
Most of the time, the energy spent on, oh, we're going to get this deal. And I understand that's the initial energy when you're getting into that deal. But you have to think about asset management as you spend 3, 6, 9 months finding your way into a deal, and then you spend years having this property. So understanding that effect of what you can do once you have that property is going to make you a successful investor or empower your team forward. Just imagine this. It's like you work all this time to get to the major leagues, and then all of a sudden you're about to step up the bat and you say, okay, I did it, and just walk off, right? That's like the same thing of not having proficient asset management on the back end here. So what is asset management? It monitors the economic and operating performance of the property. It creates and oversees and monitors the workflow of the property. So you, as asset management, are not property management. You can function and run your own in-house property management team, but the asset manager can be you as an owner, but you're a through between the ownership group and the property manager for the success or the overall performance of the property. So think about this as like maybe the manager or the general manager of anything, right? General manager of a ballpark, general manager of a restaurant, right? You're going to see how to maximize the value of the property, and optimize the value of the property while meeting the expectations of ownership group. So you oversee the property from acquisition to disposition. That's part of the key, but you're also setting expectations coming to closing, so you can work proficiently with the team to make sure that the business plan in place is one that can be accomplished and one is the best route for the property. Typical asset management fee on a deal, maybe 1.5% to 2%. You can do this on total money that's been raised. You can also do this on revenue. We like to do it on revenue because if we perform, we increase revenue, then ultimately that's in alignment with our interest for the property and our investors. So you can think of this can be something that you as the general partners or you as the group, the ownership group can take for your fee, but it also can be a full-time role. There are people out there who manage and do the asset management for ownership groups. That's their role. And the percentage fee here is basically dictating where their salary potential can go to. Is this property management? No, we spoke to this. Property management handles the day-to-day operation of property, works to achieve the plans of the owners as put forward with the asset manager, and again, provides guidance with the property manager and the asset manager to know when the plan's not going accordingly and to pivot to meet the needs of the property. So it's a good hand-in-hand relationship here, is that you want very strong property managers. That's going to be your lifeline to make the property succeed. You can have the best plan in the world, but if the property manager doesn't believe in it or they're not the right team to put it in place, it's not going to matter. You can also have the worst plan in the world and have a great property manager that can say, listen, it's not going to work. We've been in this industry. We've been in this area for years. We managed 3,000 units. It's not going to work for XYZ. Here's what we recommend. So having this team in place, having these people on your side are going to put you in a position to win in any and every market. Question to ask your property manager: what experience do you have in the asset class? We think it's a one-size-fits-all deal. Oh, I got a property, get a property manager. Okay, I got a property manager. Well, we are helping to guide the property management company, and we also want to make sure they're the right company for us. If we're buying a 50-unit garden-style apartment building, we don't want someone who has all single-family houses. We're not going to find someone who just does new construction properties or maybe does all Section 8 properties or low-income or LIHTC properties, right? We want to find the right team member for us, just like you're finding team members that Scotty spoke to earlier. So noting what type of property you're after, what kind of business plan you have, you're going to filter that to put in place the right property management company. And trust me, I don't like to take on property management companies that don't actually deal my field and are going to try to figure it out on my dime. So if they say, oh yeah, we have 500 single family houses, but we could probably try and figure out your 50 unit, that's you and your investment that they're going to be learning on as they do. So you want to make sure you find the right companies that can work with you to put your plan in place. You want to look at what kind of software do you use. This is a big part here. You want real-time reporting, whether it's on Sunday night, you want to look at where the rental income is. You want to understand what their fee structure is and what's the hidden fees. Are they basically charging you just a straight fee, and that's going to incorporate some of their built-in expenses, their admin fees, there's their leasing fees, there's their renewal fees. They can say our fee is 4%, 6%, but you as the asset manager needs to look at this fee and say, what's under the hood? What other fees or costs are associated with this? And if there is a fee, is it a validated fee for us to look at to say, do we need this fee? And is this going to basically take away from our value of our property? Effective asset management, very easy here. Can make great deals phenomenal, can make standard deals great, and can make bad deals good. Things can go wrong in any deal. Day one, something unexpected can come up, can completely throw out. You think of people who were just buying on the onset of COVID, right? Completely outside the norm. You had to react, you had to pivot accordingly. So a great property management company has the interests aligned with all the team members in place here to know where the building can go, but then also pivot accordingly as things come up. They do everything from property inspections to income and expense certifications, budgeting, takeover and repositioning plan, and look at how they're meeting owners' objectives. Ownership group has come into this property. They wanted this property. Us as partners want this property for a number of different reasons that are hoping to meet our investment criteria. But the plan in place has to continue to meet that criteria. And if it's not meeting those criteria, why? And what can we do today to get back on pace? You also work hand in hand with the lender or any of the loan requirements that come as part of your loan package. This could be everything from having to submit monthly reporting to, if you're doing draws, all the draw submittals between contractors going to the lender to get your draw if you are doing part of this at construction loan. Operations. You're evaluating constantly the performance of the property against pro forma. This gets forgotten many times. We buy this property, we start running this property, but we forget to look at, well, how's this property performing against our pro forma? In the beginning, a good use case is to go over this each and every month, just evaluate how you are against your pro forma. If you have a proficient property manager, they're going to send you monthly reporting. We do weekly meetings with our property managers. Today is actually our day, so a lot of these, we actually had them already, and 2 got pushed till tomorrow. But we will meet with our property managers across all properties in each different market, cover everything, with the drivers being leasing, collections, open items, and construction. Those are our 4 main topics, and if we cover that, we can get a good context to know where we are at the property each and every market, especially if you're doing a big repositioning play. You don't want to set it, forget it, and then ultimately put them out to work, and then 2 months, 5 months down the road, make sure and find out you're not happy with what's actually happening there on the property. You're going to look for the team to come back with recommendations on income drivers, recommendations on expense curtailing, how to solidify your turn process. We see these great flipping shows. Every house is different. They're making 15 different things to make this house so extraordinary, so unique. You're building a business, and business is built on repetition. So if you have the same property, it's, we have one here we'll talk to tomorrow. It's in Murfreesboro. It's 93 units. It's all the same unit, same turn package. Predictable. We knew what the cost was. We knew how to have the trades in place. We knew what we need to buy each and every time a unit came up. We knew how quick we can get the turn on. We already had the marketing for that package. We could put that in place. So as a unit comes up, we're able to lease that unit in less than 7 days because we already have everything built in the pipeline. So the tenant experience, when they're coming into this unit, they know what to expect. If you get creative, you can lose on time. Time is very efficiently a lot of money in this business, especially if you have 100 units and each and every time you go to renovate that unit, you want to think about it. It takes 2, 3, 5 weeks to get a quote. By that time, then it takes another week for you to decide on that quote, another 3 weeks for the work to be done. Then you have to go picture that unit, and you've now lost 3 months. It may not matter on a 1 or 2 or 3 unit, but across 50, 20, 100 units, it's going to add up very quickly, and it's going to detract from the overall performance of your unit. So the more you can systemize your process, put turn process uniquely into motion where you can make sure things are happening, you're going to be in the right line to get the most value out of this property. Account review. You have to be in constant flex to understand where your cash and reserve balances are, especially if you're doing a big repositioning play. You want to make sure that the income you're bringing in is meeting the needs with the amount of money you're putting out. And if you're going to do a draw process, you want to make sure that you have the work in process, that you're doing sufficient draws to keep money coming in with you're putting a lot of money out of pocket to do this renovation. You want to go over your accounts receivable, your collections each month with tenants, especially as you're coming to a property that's not performing as lower income or lower rents. You want to ask yourself, okay, can we increase rents on current tenants? Are we going to non-renew tenants? Are we going to look at points for either ripping the Band-Aid off and non-renewing a bunch of tenants and just taking the CapEx hit up early? Or are we going to do a strategic plan where each and every month we may do certain renewals for certain tenants, non-renew other tenants, and put our CapEx budget to work on select units and not have the big exposure? So looking at you and your business plan, you can work with your team to see where you can maximize the value on that property. Next piece, upcoming renewals. Another thing we look at here is that we want to see where can we go to meet the market. We have 3 ways. Just non-renew a tenant. You can renew them part of the way. You can renew them somewhere between this and market, but you keep yourself from having a big CapEx hit and the vacancy. Or you can just renovate the unit and take it to market, but get out there, but then have that hedge of just putting extra money up front. Some of the top income drivers you can look at, you monitor surrounding markets and properties. Most of the time, we want to think outside the box and say, what would be this magical thing? There are ways to gain value that others aren't seeing, but if you can see like-kind properties doing something that you're not in this property, you can predictably say, this is something I can do on my property and get the value that's being missed in this property. And some of this is very simple, very simple. Most of the owners get wrapped into their business. What we're talking about here is to treat this like a business, to step outside of it and not be pulled into it. We once brought a building, 48 units, Louisville, Kentucky. The guy was doing his own turns. He had like 57 keys, was collecting bags of money, just like us trying to go to look at during the inspection. He had like 50 keys, couldn't figure out what key was in. He was running there, plunging in the toilet because somebody needed a toilet. He was getting, some guy brought up and hit him a bag of cash. It was just chaos. He was so stuck doing the activities of the business, he forgot to actually run the business. So when you look at this, you have to pull yourself back, look at this as a business so you can get the most value out of the property and empower yourself, like Scotty talked about, with a lot of the team that's going to surround you, both internally, means that are on your partnership, and externally, as we'll talk about a little bit later. You also want to review the contracts. What are some of the contracts that, one, we may be assuming, or two, we may non-renew? So maybe we're buying a property and we want to look at the contracts for pest or for garbage. Most of the time, these have constant renewals in them. There's increases built in there, but we forget to check the contracts based compared to the market, and we don't realize that the actual renewal percentage has now outpaced the market, and we can go price this efficiently out into the market. There may be other contracts that are you going to basically be assigned to a closing because they take out the life of closing, right? That could be cable, could be laundry contracts. They're going to survive the closing. So if you're buying a property, you're also buying those contracts as part of that. So if you have a 15-year laundry contract that's got very unfavorable terms, that's something you have to take into account to as you go into your property. Tenant process implementation. Tenant review. We had someone ask a question about, how to review a T12 if you only have really 6 months of data. Well, you have to look at the quality of the data, right? And one of that may be if they know they're going to sell, and they're at 80% occupancy, and all of a sudden they start trending up to 85, 90, 95, 100. Has something changed dramatically in the market? Have they started to improve on their marketing, or have they just lowered their criteria and just started letting anybody in the door? So now they might have 90, 100% occupancy, and 80% are just tenants who are paying, or 20% are just warm bodies. So understanding what is your process for approving tenants who are coming in the door so you can make sure you're maximizing the value and you're not putting tenants in there that ultimately month 1, month 2, you're going to be evicting and having to do the process over. And where are additional income drivers? Can you do things like add units? Same property I talked about with the guy who was running crazy. He was using a unit that he just had as his office, even though he was never there. We were able to just put that unit back online because we had a huge laundry room. The laundry room was probably 30 by 30. And we were able to take that, cut it up, put a little maintenance shop in it, got another piece, put an office into it, and still have proficient models to get the laundry room there. So we got a unit back that, if you can think about the value of a unit, the units at a time were $55K. I just got by $55K by putting that unit back in line just on top of overall value, plus another $700+ of rent that I was able to get back into the recurring rental stream just by taking the unit, moving the office into another location, and getting back that value add. We've had another property here where we're able to take basements that weren't being utilized, put in storage, get additional income from there. So you can look at creativity of how you can maximize value on these properties to add in these little income drivers to gain back some of the income that's been lost compared to comparable properties. Due diligence. So you do want to review the current litigation and tenant evictions. They have 100% occupancy, but how many tenants are under eviction? How many tenants have bad debt? You want to get a list of personal property, of what's coming with the property when you buy it. You want to have a list of outstanding maintenance requests. One of the best ways to go in and manage this property is to give tenant training. And it sounds horrible as a term, but you have tenants who have had a bad experience, most likely with prior ownership. They've called 15 times because the sink's leaking or this is leaking, and they just never come, so they stop calling. Well, it devalues the overall operations of the building, but the tenant also has a bad taste in their mouth, so you as new ownership, when they come in there, they're not going to magically start calling you unless you let them know you're here to make that a better place to live. So if you think about that, if you set the stage, it's going to ultimately help both sides. The tenant's going to have a better experience. Maybe it'll stay longer. Maybe it'll be open to those increases. Plus, your utility bill is going to get cut down dramatically because you're going to start fixing a lot of problems that were just bleeding prior ownership out. You need to have due diligence, working with your PPM or your attorney here to make sure they're on board, that all the pieces of the puzzle needed for successful closing are in motion. You're going to engage your cost seg rep, some of these other partners we'll talk about, work with the team to finalize the ownership structure, and work with the team to get to closing. So it's a vital part here is that you handle after closing, but you make sure that you're getting a roadmap to be set up for a successful closing from day one. Other parts here, easiest one for increasing NOI, net operating income, increasing your bottom line, is selective renovation and repairs. You're going to choose renovations that you want to make that are going to be justified to get the additional value add that you want. That could be as simple as going in there and taking carpet and putting LVP flooring, different two-tone paint color, painting trim, changing out light fixtures, changing out countertops. You can think of a number of different items just inside the unit. So if you look at that, you say, okay, is this repair or is this CapEx choice justified that I'm going to get additional income? But if you have, outdated paint colors and you have carpet in units and you see comparable properties right down the road, they're just changing out to a more trending paint color and to LVP flooring, you get an additional $150 of rent. Sounds like that could be a great process for you to go to mimic to capture that same rent bump right there. Want to capture on a loss to lease, that's the easy one. Properties, maybe comparable properties that ownership groups would rather stay occupied and just don't go out there and push units. So maybe able to go out there and with better marketing, maybe able to capture on some of the loss to lease compared to comparable properties. You want to reduce high expenses through proper management. Management may just be being lazy for prior ownership, and maybe they have more employees than they need. Maybe they're not tracking utility overages. I once had a friend, and he was doing due diligence on a property, and he saw that the guy was filling up the pool. And the guy was filling up the pool, and he was like, "Why are you filling up the pool?" He's like, "Oh, I do this every 2 days, right? Just filling up the pool." Just what he did, right? Ownership never paid attention to the water bill, didn't realize that there was a small crack in the pool, so we're just filling up the pool every day. Cut down the water bill by like $25K for a big property just because they fixed the pool, right? There's simple things out there that are happening on your properties that if you're not paying attention to it, or you don't have a team member who's paying attention, that are literally just bleeding you out. But you get $25,000 back to your bottom line. Pick any cap rate you want. Your value of your property has just gone up tremendously. Look at additional fees. These can be simply mimicked as well. If you're a property, you're not charging proficient rent, you're not charging admin fees, application fees, pet fees, but all the properties around you are, you're missing out on that additional income. You're taking additional costs that can be offset to the tenants. You can look at other things of bringing on contracts. We just have our 64 unit here in Nashville. We just got a cable contract on that property. Will give us additional income, one by a decorating fee, and will also give a share of revenue of tenants who take on the cable service that's provided. So there's many services that benefit these large buildings because, again, we're treating this like a business. We're not treating this something that we're treating this like a business. So we look at things of how can we benefit the tenants, how can we create a better experience, and how can we maximize value on this property. Next, we look to save on energy and water. This could be something that you could get benefits back in your loan, but you can also do things on the property very simply to save on the overall cost that's being shared. You could put you could put insulation up into the attics, right? A lot of utilities, a lot of your heat's going out the attic, right? You could insulate better. You could change out your windows, get better R value. You could put insulation on piping for hot water heaters. You could change out to more efficient boilers. You can change out all your toilets to low flush toilets and reduce your water bill. You can change out faucets and aerators to just cut down on your water exposure. So there's so many different items you can be to make your property operate more efficiently and get more bang for your buck. Bill back for utilities. Many of these garden-style properties built in 1960, 1970, 1980, they're 1 meter properties. So you have the ability that if it's allowable and it functions in the area, you can bill back the water or some of the utility bills and pass that back to the tenants. Now, big thing to remember here is that you can have that idea, but you're going to be dictated by who's the biggest owner in the area. We once had a property, I think I'll talk about it in a minute, 94 unit in Louisville. There's a group around it, or one owner, I think his name was Rodney. Rodney owned 350 units around. You could absolutely build back water. Rodney did not build back water. So I couldn't build back water. And another owner who had a 12 unit across the street, same building as all of us, tried to do it. actually separate. I think he paid $3,500 a unit to separately meter each and every one. The tenants refused to pay the water because nobody else was. So they were paying rent, they weren't paying the water. So what's he going to do? He's going to evict them over water, or just so he ended up did all that and started paying the water again. New ownership group came in, brought out Rodney's 300 units. They started building back water. Now we can build back water, right? So you're going to constantly be driven by the largest player in the area. And that's going to go in a lot of ways, especially as when you're looking at asset management, is that regardless of how great you are, you're going to be dictated a lot by the market. If the market's at 80% occupancy, it's going to be hard for you to be magically at 95 or 100, right? So you have to look at what's being driven by the market, because that's going to drive you and the performance of your property. You can create the property much better, but you can't improve the area. Here are some of the important external team members. This is the glory of real estate. You have all these people that can help you accomplish your goals. You have property managers. I'll put the PM software, right? So if you are managing some of your properties, you want a proficient software, but you also want to work with property managers who have proficient software, because ultimately you want to see the data as captured and make sure it's aligning with your goals and your vision. Comp software. You can, as we talked about earlier, use things like CoStar, Reese Moody's, any of these data analytics that will give you the back-end data. You can do it simply as just call up and stress testing. It's just calling other parts here. You can use a lot of other sites, but you want some software data as this point. We'll call this a team member to help analyze what you're doing in your property and make sure it's validated. You want to know who's going to be your regional manager. Depending on these big property management companies, you'll typically have a main point person. You want to have a proficient point person that understands your business plan, is highly attentive, is someone that you can communicate with proactively to make sure that they're focusing on your property to make it a success. Great leasing people, and some of this can cross over, right? It's two parts. You need this from the property management company, but you also, if you are going to manage yourself, leasing people, maintenance people, great insurance brokers. They're not all built the same. They have good ideas about how to maximize the value in the property, put the right insurance for you, and then understand if it's the right fit to get you the right premium for you and your property. Cost segregation group, one of the value adds for real estate is that we can do a cost segregation report, basically accelerate the depreciation benefits across, push them forward, and get a lot of value add for ourselves and our investors. A tax consultant, especially if we're into these major markets, some of the markets that are into Georgia or Texas, where taxes could go up 300%, and it can simply massively impact our deal if we're not prepared for it. So having a good tax consultant on board that can analyze our deal, the potential of where we can go, and if there's any dispute, once it does come out, if we can look at that assessment, dispute it as well. Utility brokers. There's regulated and deregulated states that we may be able to go out there and broker our utility costs to get cheaper utility fees on properties. Supply shops. This may be more if you're handling construction relationships. They can get contractors pricing here with supply shops can definitely help reduce on your overall construction budget. A great general contractor, if your team's not managing yourself, having the right team in place. Local representatives. It sounds silly, but the more you can understand the dynamics of how the town works, you can understand the path of progress, you can understand where the energy is going to go, the more position you're going to be to make sure you're doing the right things in your property to fit the goals that are going to currently carry forward with your town or your city. Housing providers. If you are going to utilize things like Section 8 or housing for the homeless or these other things that might be benefits to your property, you want to know the plan, the process, and how that could potentially be of value, and what are the steps in place to use these companies if you do want. Tax assessor, different than the tax consultant. The tax assessor is one of the major people that you need to be in front of here when you're buying deals, right? Because you want to understand how do they price out where the taxes could go. We don't want to buy blindly, right? We can get utility quotes, we can get it just knowing where it is, we can get insurance quotes, and we can get tax quotes, right? Those are non-controllable. They're going to be what they're going to be. So we have to make sure that we're analyzing what they are so we know exactly what we're buying. The other piece that we can control. We can have more maintenance people or less maintenance people. We can do more marketing or less marketing. We can, do less admin or more admin. But the things that are going to be outside of our control, we have to be highly dictated as the asset management company to make sure that we're fully on board to know where the property impacts could be on things that we can't control. Here's some of the conservation package we've talked about. There's a water saving program. We've done this on a number of properties that made sense. Cuts down our water bill dramatically. Couple this by going in there and training tenants to understand that you can help them have a better experience by fixing drips, fixing leaks, fixing running toilets, ultimately will cut down your water bill tremendously. Here are some of the other ones. Simple things: AC tune-ups, weatherized plumbing and lighting. It might not make a big difference on a single family house, but if you put this together and you have dozens and dozens of units, you think about the effect of being able to reduce anything, right? Reducing the electric bill, $10 per unit every single month. You think about the effect of that overall on the performance and the value of your property, and it can be massive. Here's some simple things we did right here in Murfreesboro. Cleaned up the pool, put out new pool furniture, put up a pergola, little grilling station, and a dog park. What this created here is we had a building that was, we're gonna talk about tomorrow, was really, when we brought it, performed very poorly. Weekly rentals, a tenant base where anybody was allowed in there, no criteria at all. So we had to take the time to put in the work to revitalize the property and create more of a family network. Now, someone had asked earlier about how do you garner what the value add is on the pergola. It's gonna be hard to context that, but it may ultimately help the effect of the overall appeal for the property and start appealing to people who want to stay longer, because they might start appealing to wanting to be there because of the community set that you're creating right there. Some of our top expense drivers: management efficiencies. Just like we spoke about, if management can be efficient in the time it takes to turn, the time it takes to market, the time it takes to lease, the time it takes to move in, ultimately creates more value. Economies of scale. The more units you have, the better cost you get, the better fees you're gonna get overall across your portfolio. Contract reviews, we talked about this: laundry, cable, looking at our pest ones, constantly reviewing that on a quarterly basis. Utility efficiencies, green program, and tenant training is a big one right there. All right, so we've done a lot of work. We've gotten ourselves to closing. Here we are. Fantastic. Walk every unit. You've done this at the due diligence space. Walk every unit. 100 units, walk every unit. Well, we don't want to walk the last 10. Well, by chance, 5 of them are going to be gutted, right? It happens. Walk every unit. You, your team, you split it up. You have five groups there. Takes 20 units of group. Make sure you have viable people from the seller or the management company, so one person with the keys, because that can be painful. But then have it all set up. You get into every unit. Expect for desertion. Expect current state of the properties, right? You want to know, what is the state of the property I'm buying? Is it a smoker in there? Do they have pets? Have they been really rough on the properties? Do they have kids? Has it been renovated? Is there other renovations we can do? And you'll list out all your units, understand where you're picking up the play. So the second you take over, you know where you're starting. You want to take on it blindly and say, oh, I hope we'll figure out where we start today. And then each time a unit comes up, you have no use case to understand where that unit was when you inspected it. You deliver resident takeover letters, allow the tenants to know new ownership's on board. Here's what will be the contact from the management company. Here's what will be for maintenance requests. Here's how you'll pay, right? Begin the business plan, implement the business plan out of the gate. Again, time is money. If you're gonna hold this 1, 3, 5, 7 years, there's no reason to wait 60, 90 days to get started. Day one, you start getting started. Address outstanding maintenance items. To everybody who's been a renter in here, someone, new ownership group comes in, your biggest fear is, oh, they're gonna raise the rents on me. But if you start making this a better place for them to live, as we spoke about earlier, makes that experience that much better for the tenant, because they know it's not going to be like kind of what it was before. You're here to make it better. You're here to make the place that they live a better place for each and every one of them. Rekey common office and the common areas and the office. Simple said, but you don't know who disgruntled employees or who has been in the past. Rekey, get yourself a new start, new fresh day, get yourself in motion. Here's our first deal. It feels like yesterday it was 6, 7 years ago. 94 unit, Louisville, Kentucky. Brought it for $2.3 million, just tremendous, right? We actually had offered 2.1, and the ownership group wanted 3.2. They countered at 3.2, so it was not a stellar negotiation out of the front here. But we went away, tracking all of our deals. A couple months later, we knew it was still out there. Just went back. We offered 2.2. They came down in 4 hours and countered us at 2.6. What had happened is the owner had built the buildings. He had passed away. He was in his 90s. The kids were now in their 50s and 60s, and someone was in their ear, and they were all out of state, in their ear saying, oh, it's worth this number. Well, after repeatedly people would come in there and give them an offer that was more appropriate here, they all forgot about the property, and we just had the hindsight that someone told us to track the performance of where all of our offers went back to this deal, and we were able to acquire it at a substantial price. It was a very simple deal. Rents were under market by $150. You could walk across the street to the same property, literally the same property, pay $150 more. They were like 85% occupied. Across the street was 100, paying $150 more. 85% occupied because I think it was, I always forget, it was like Dorothy or someone. She was in the office. She was very upset we were there because she was watching Dog the Bounty Hunter. She didn't want to do anything, but she was watching Dog the Bounty Hunter, right? She didn't want to show the units. The units were all rented and are all renovated and ready. They were also having problems collecting the rent, but because the owner had passed away, the kids who were out of state, 50s and 60s, you call them kids, right? They didn't feel comfortable with her collecting rent, so the people who were in these buildings had to drive 6 miles across town to drop off rent. So of course they're having problems collecting money. They didn't have pet fees. We did at all, nor did they allow pets. We did the inspection. They had 6 dogs and a snake, right? So we just implemented pet fees. They didn't do application fees. They didn't do admin fees. They had other single-family houses. They really needed 1.5 maintenance guys. They had 3 maintenance guys, and the 3 maintenance guys had so much time. They had built a wrestling ring in the basement, right? Cut that out, right? And they weren't getting anything done on the property. They weren't getting anything done. So you can see where we can go here to create value. Doesn't have to be hard. We don't have to complicate that. Simple things. That property's doing it. It's the same property. All right, we'll just do it on our property. We never marketed this property with so much foot traffic, right? We were never under 96% occupied. Increased rents very easily across the property. We raised this money. Peely's going to talk about how we raised this money without asking for it. Here's the things that went right. Transition to new management. Turned over 65 of the 94 units. Completed all the 6 and 12-month lender repairs. Lenders will give you, depending on this was an agency loan, they'll give you a list of repairs that you need to do. So we completed them as quick as possible. Create a tenant referral program. Talk about this, right? You want to create great communities. You get good tenants, and they can refer their friends, get a little referral fee from it. Well, now you got 2 great tenants. What do you find when people live together, friends live together? They're going to be less likely to move. So what does that do? It cuts down our back-end expense. We implemented a move-in fee instead of a deposit. This tenant base, we offered $100 less on a move-in fee instead of a deposit, so we're getting an additional rent bump up front or additional income bump up front. Installed a water savings plan. This is where it all started right here. Tenant training, having them to know we're going to fix it, fixing leaks, changing all the faucets, changing all the aerators, changing all the toilets. We cut down our water bill by 30%. I think at an ACAP at that time, it created $325,000 of value just by changing toilets. For my flippers in the room, who has changed a toilet in a flip and gotten $300,000 of value? Right? There you go. Pet fees. We already talked about the pet fees. I don't remember what we charged a snake. All right. What went wrong? Well, we had 3 deaths from natural causes. No one talks about that. You don't underwrite for that. Older people, elderly people, 2 happened in the same week. But I had the right team in place to understand the right process to make sure everything would go right. 15 HVAC replacements. We had budgeted a little differently from that, but some came up at different life cycles than we had anticipated. There was a neighboring building being run by the city, right? What did we talk earlier? The city gives us benefits, the nation gives us benefits, government gives us benefits. They're bad operators. Had a building, had a problem tenant who didn't even live there that was creating gun activity, making the surrounding buildings, for which it was not that kind of area, feel unsafe. We were able to offer one of our renovated units that was being renovated to a detective, use it as a stakeout, ended up arresting all these guys. It ended up being a great story, but in that front, we utilized one of those parts right there. I'll take it. You know how we got that detective come out there? No one would call us back. We said, can you please call us back? We're here at your property. Someone's going to die. And I left 3 of those messages. They started calling us back, and then all of a sudden we got it done. But in that front, it took a little effort. We got involved. We took a little effort. We had a gas line problem that vacated a building. Nothing by this. It was actually something that happened by the city, even though they didn't want to take responsibility for it. So these things happen. We had the right team in place, right plan in place, so we were able to overcome it. It's the power of a team. What else went right? Talk about the Louisville Metro Police stakeout, the laundry contract. There was 1 laundry room for that entire area. It was on our property. It was shut down. We actually 2 laundry rooms. They weren't even putting those in place. Put them both on board. Got a cable contract on board. Made this a safer place to rent. Increased rents above pro forma pretty much out of the gate. After year 1, we refinanced the property. Got 75% of investor money back. 2 years. Sold this property. Doubled investors' money, exceeding our 5-year expectations in 2 years. This is something what it looked like here. hold PUD, 2 years, 6 months, increased valuation on the overall property, 73%, 35% IRR to investors. So pretty good day for everybody. So that was fun, right? That was fun. That's some of the power you can do with things. I didn't do anything that was breaking ground there. We just followed the trend of what we could do to maximize the value of the property. Jumping over on this point, so great asset management, again, great deals become phenomenal. Good deals become great, bad deals become good. That's the power of you empowering yourself or your team member to know the plan in place, to put the plan in the process and pivot accordingly. All right, that's what we got. Thank you so much. Let's do this.
What is going on, everybody? Chet is at a bathroom break. Sorry about that. I was actually finishing up. We got a few deals moving right now: storage facility, mobile home park, and a 32-unit apartment complex. And when closings happen, we also have a 105-unit closing next week too. So when we have closings, it's just emails back and forth. I had my desk lowered and I was doing some emails. So I have heard Jason speak many, many times, and he is just a phenomenal asset manager. Talks about the best practices. I hope you all got something out of that presentation, because it's every time Jason speaks, I'm always like ears wide open, trying to figure out what I can take from it, because he's just constantly breaking things and then putting them back together more efficiently. And that's what he does really, really well. So the next speaker that I'm going to bring up is Jason's better half. She's a badass businesswoman. She raises a ton of money for Yarusi Holdings. She's the mother of 3 kids, and she is just a really cool human being. And I've had the pleasure of working with her for about 5 years now. And she's just, I can't say enough about her. She leads with Aloha. She'll probably talk to you a little bit about her Aloha in this next segment. But really, her main presentation is going to be about raising money. So I told you guys many times, I'm focusing a lot on acquisitions and raising money, because that's where you're going to get most of your equity grabs, are being able to find the deal, put the deal together, and also to be able to raise capital. So this presentation is all about how Yarusi Holdings has raised tens of millions of dollars for their apartment complexes. And if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat, and we're currently scrubbing that chat, and we'll make sure that we have this Q&A at the end and get all of your questions answered. So without further ado, let's bring up Pili Yarusi to talk about raising capital for commercial real estate.
To raising capital. But first, this is how you actually raise capital. You educate your investors. That is the biggest thing I do. No matter what I do, that's the first thing I do, standing here getting to educate you, getting educated by you, and networking together, bless you. That is the most important thing you do as a capital raiser, as someone who sources funds from others. So I need, let's say, okay, wait, first of all, who is new to multifamily? Please raise your hand. Awesome. In the red, can you take that microphone? Yes. Yeah, right there. Right there. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Take that microphone. Thank you for volunteering. And I need, put your hands back up. Hands back up. Oh, now you guys don't want to put your hands back up. Right there. Right there. You gentlemen with the glasses. Right there. Microphone, please. Yes, thank you. Okay, first I want you to both say your names. My lady in red,
Yes, hi, I'm Aditi Surma.
welcome.
Scott Muller.
Welcome. Both of you, thank you so very much. So, like I said, the first thing that we need to do is educate. And I know you've gotten a lot of information in these past few hours. I mean, downloaded a lot. Jason's first presentation, even me watching it, and I know all that information, I was like, whoa, completely blown away. So we're gonna go to multifamily 101. And I want to know if we did our job today. So first question is, multifamily real estate is?
A great way to build community and to build your wealth in the process.
Great. Multifamily real estate is?
Generational wealth.
Great answers. There's literally there's no wrong answer to this question. Multifamily is really anything over, 5 units starts multifamily. Large multifamily is 10, 20, 50, 100, 300. So, great answers. Next, syndication is, here's where it gets a little bit harder. Syndication.
A way to fund your multifamily deal.
Bingo. Good. Scott.
A partnership of like-minded individuals with the mission of taking down an asset.
Great answers. So syndication, the combining of investors' funds to purchase an asset. There's a longer explanation than that, but I don't have that much time. So next, what is the SEC?
Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, right? Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Okay.
Close.
Securities Exchange Commission.
Yes. Good one, Scott. So this is, oh, where did it go? Hitting the wrong buttons. So this is the SEC. You shouldn't actually have this just open. You want to know about syndication. You want to know about the rules behind capital raise. You can literally go to the sec.gov, open up the education portal, and it's all there. You should be opening this, you should be reading this. We'll go over a lot of this, but this is where all the rules reside. Like I said, my most important thing to do is to educate you all. Next, what is Reg D 506B and C? And the reason why I am asking this is that I got asked a similar question last night, and I realized that I wasn't doing my job if people were asking me this. So I wanted to make sure that we know this. And if you don't know, it's okay.
Yep.
So go ahead.
So I just know 506B because they've talked about it in the accountability group, and I think it's the way to fund it's the way to do syndication, but you can only do it with friends and family. You have to have like 3 connection, and 506C is, I think, open to everyone. You can advertise your deal, etc. I don't know where Reg D is.
That is amazing. Very great answer. Can I get a round of applause? That was a really good answer. A really good answer. Scott.
Is it also the difference between qualified and non-qualified investors?
Accredited and non-accredited.
Yeah,
accredited and sophisticated. So, per the Securities and Exchange Commission SEC regulation governing private placement exemptions, Reg D is a provision that exempts some companies from the registration requirements associated with a public offering. It gives smaller companies access to investment capital by letting them offer specific types of private placements. Actually, let's go back. There was something I did not tell you. So, because I know somebody has this question. A private placement is a sale of stocks, bonds, or securities directly to a private investor rather than as a part of a public offering. So, next question. This is why I'm up on the stage, so you should be asking me this question, right? What is a capital raise? Go ahead.
It's like money that you're trying to raise?
That is an excellent answer. Scott.
It's the process of gathering funds to fit the needs of an asset.
Fancier answer. Good job. Thank you both. You can both sit down. Thank you so much. Huge round of applause. Thank you. So, what is a capital raise? Now that you have some basics, we can actually talk about it. And literally, some of those questions are some of the questions I get from new investors wanting to invest or wanting to know more about multifamily investment. And I get that question all the time, like, what happens when you pick up the phone and start calling people to raise capital? Well, number one, and a lot of you already know, you don't actually raise capital. You're having a conversation and you're educating. So the act of raising funds from passive investors is exactly that. Exactly what they did. It's educating. So raising capital. Who in this room is raising capital right now? Please raise your hand. Keep your hands up. Literally everyone in this room, if you are getting into large multifamily or if you are in real estate, you should be raising capital. So I'm going to ask the question again. Who in this room is raising capital right now? Raise your hands. Awesome. That's much better. So, how do you do this? The first thing you do is you start now. You start right now. And you all have heard me say this. All you need to do is pick up your phone. You can pick up your phone and you can take a quick picture right now. You heard Bill talk about it earlier, right? He talked about picking up your phone, taking a picture with somebody, taking a picture outside. You know what I want you to do is actually grab myself, Bill, Chad, one of the speakers, grab one of us and take a picture with us and start telling your story. Start telling your story on social. Or better yet, you're not on social media, great. Send the picture to your family, your friends, and let them know what you are doing. Start with the basics. Start letting everyone know what you're doing. And start now, even if you're simply thinking about getting into real estate. Never mind getting into multifamily, getting into real estate. You should let people know now what you're doing. That is the baseline of what we are doing today. Okay? So that is just the beginning. Step 2 is building your brand. So I am literally going to tell you exactly what Jason and I did to build our brand, how we are raising millions of dollars of capital to take down $245 million of real estate. We built our brand, and it wasn't pretty at the beginning. I'm going to be very honest about that. It was not pretty, but we did it. And we started by just doing it. Real estate brand growth, how to build and grow a powerful brand. What's the big idea? It's time to start your own show with video podcasting. I know a lot of you are looking at me right now. You're like, oh, you mean I got to actually like set up the thing and do the thing and talk about all the things? Yes. And I'm going to double down on this. Because everyone here is a brand, whether you like it or not, whether you're on social media or not, you are building a brand. And you need to start thinking about how you're forward facing. If I Googled you right now, what would I find? Would I find absolutely nothing? Would I find some interesting picture from when you were in high school, college? Mugshots, thank you very much. The thing is, these things are in our digital profile. And how do you change that? By opening up, taking control of your brand, and taking those steps needed to get yourself out there forward-facing in the way you want the world to see you. And how do you do that? By getting over that, I was just telling Chad, I feel like I'm going to throw up right now. I'm theatrically trained, but every time I get on the stage, I get jittery, I get nervous, maybe I'm going to say the wrong thing. Thing is, folks, I'm going off script right now. I don't even know where I am. The thing is, you all have something to teach the world. I'm going to repeat it. You all have something to teach the world. You have information. Yang said it. You all have strength that you need to tell people, and you need to remind people of that strength over and over again, because people will forget. You need to keep on letting them know, I do multifamily real estate. I do single family real estate. I'm a wholesaler. Whatever it is that you do right now, I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a psychiatrist. I'm whatever it is, dig in deep. You don't have to talk about multifamily. Talk about what interests you right now. You like dogs, talk about dogs. And then tell people, hey, by the way, this is also what I'm doing. Because what you want to do is help the people that are already in the sphere of influence that you've created. Let's get back to this. Start with your big idea. So, big idea. This is a big idea I just came up with. It kind of sounds familiar. To help you navigate the storm by providing insanely educational and highly actionable real estate content. So that's basically what Jason and I do with the Multifamily Live podcast. Our theme, entrepreneurship, family, and leadership. These are the things that we do. Go ahead and take a picture of it. You can copy it, because you can do the exact same thing that we do, because literally it'll come out different from you. This is a proven strategy. You'll hear Gary Vee talk about it all the time. All of these people, you see, you can recognize some real estate investors there. They are all investors. They are all raising capital for something. Even though it's not real estate, they are raising capital, raising money to purchase whatever it is they do. So it's a proven strategy that nobody talks about directly to you. So this is why I wanted to tell you about this, because you, Ben, I'm talking to you, talking to you, talking to you, talking to everyone here. This is something that you can do. And the great thing is, and I know some of you are still cringing, you don't have to put it out to the wide world. Maybe you just want to talk to your community. Maybe you just want to put out a series of videos to put out to your club, the other people that like cats. This evergreen content that you can just put out to them. It doesn't have to go to the wide world. It can just be for them. But the great thing is you have this evergreen content, and you don't have to keep on saying it again and saying it again and saying it again. And now you have someplace to put all of your ideas into your podcast. I'm already way behind, just by the way. Why? Why would you do this? It strengthens existing relationships and builds new connections with prospective investors and peers. I don't know why I wrote that sentence. That was really hard to say. Basically, it gets you out there. It gets you out there. I love to say, imagine being able to give to your family, give to your friends this opportunity of a lifetime. But think of all the people that you haven't touched yet, that you get to touch if you do something like this, if you start a video podcast. Why? Establish a thought leadership and a voice in the industry. Jason and I had literally taken down our first, actually we did it before our first multifamily, because it was called Real Estate Investing Foundation Podcast. That was a really long title. I say shorten it for everyone here. That was our first podcast. We had only been in real estate for a few years at the time, but we knew we had something to say. We knew we wanted to share it with everyone in our world and above and beyond. And we knew, and we were told by our mentors at the time, because they were good mentors, that this was the way to go. We were seeing our other mentors doing the same thing. So this is proven not just by those big wigs I put on the screen, But this is what Jason and I do. It's what Bill does. We have our own podcasts. But we were right where you are today. We were sitting, listening, ingesting all of this, and realizing that we had something to say, and we wanted to bring more people into our sphere, and this was the way. And why? To educate. So the great thing is I'll be on these calls, and I'll have a great call with people. I'll educate them a little bit, and then I'll tell you, you know what? While I have you, please look me up. Google my name. Literally, Pili Yarusi. No one else has that name. So you Google my name, and you can find all my content. You can find all you need to know about me and what I do, and then let's schedule another call after you've done that. Because I want people to know me. I want them to do their due diligence on me, and this is the way to do it. But why video podcasting? People consume content in totally different ways. Some people are on Instagram, some people are on Twitter, some people don't consume content, some people are only on Google, some people, I don't know, do Twitch. Somebody, who does Twitch here? Okay, good. So you want to lay a foundation for the different types of people in your life. So Twitch is for video gamers. So if you were into video games, I saw a few heads pop up. If you were into video games, that might be a good place to post your content. Jason and I tried posting on Twitch, crickets, but we tried it. So this is how you do it. Podcast goes to Instagram and, why am I blanking out on that one? Is that TikTok? Thank you. I haven't been on TikTok in years. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of these different social media venues can benefit from that one post. You do one video and you can break it up into all this different content. So how do you do it? Take a picture of this. This is how you run your show. This is just an example. You have a hook. For 10 seconds, you're basically telling your audience what you're going to talk about. You have your opening. Maybe it's an introduction for a person that you're going to interview, which is a podcast is a really great way to meet other investors that are doing it better than you. I had Bill on our podcast way before we became partners, way before he started investing in us. And look at where we are today. I'm not saying it was because of the podcast, but it definitely helped because Bill saw that we were serious. We wanted to get our voices out there. We wanted to level up. So opening, big content. So that's your interview, that's your whatever it is you want to talk about. That's everything that people are there to listen to you for. You have a CTA. This is really important. Have a call to action. Why are they listening to this? What do you want them to do? And it can be simple as, go check out my website. I would love to give you more information about real estate investing. 3 minutes, and this is 2 big questions. If you're all listening, who listens to Bigger Pockets? You know they have, what is it? Thank you. Famous for. Lots of podcasts do this. I don't ask the same question every time, but it's something usually concerning mindset, because I want to know. I personally want to know about my guests. And then an outro. Looks really simple. And literally, Jason and I opened up our computer, used the camera on the computer. You should go to our podcast and go look at some of our old content. It's cringeworthy, but you'll understand that you can do it too. We put ourselves out there. We cared about what we gave to people, but we didn't care how it got to them. We just started. We knew we had to start. We knew if we waited for the perfect microphone, which I'll talk about, or the perfect setup, or getting that person to put it all together, nobody put it together for us. We did it ourselves the first few years. We just got started. So, 1 episode from the podcast, you'll see YouTube and LinkedIn. goes to long form audio. That's your podcast. Thank you for everyone who listens to the podcast. Into quotes. You can make those funky little quotes that I even do on Instagram. It's a lot of fun. Short form content to blogs and articles to TikTok, IG Reels, YouTube Shorts, motion graphics, bite-sized content. And I know this is a lot. You don't have to do it all. I'm just showing you what you can do from one little video. And literally another thing that you can do this outside, turn on your video. You don't even have to go live. Go live if you want. You just turn on your video and just talk to people. Tell them about what you're learning. Tell them about what you learned from me, Jason, Chad, Bill. Go outside and do that. Keep that video and then turn that into all of this. It's honestly, it's not that hard. If I can do it when I want to literally throw up, you can do it too. You can. You have no excuses. I'm living my life right now with a no excuses mentality. I'm not going to let my excuses run my life, and neither should you. If you are in this room, that means your mentality is right there with me. I know it is. So, not a designer. You can use Canva or go to Fiverr and have somebody do it for you. It's not that expensive if you really want to get it out there. Not into tech, you don't know how to do it, literally you can open up your computer or just use your phone. Cameras on the phones are actually really good right now, so is the sound, and you can apparently use AI to doctor it a little bit, make it look pretty, but that is not this presentation. Take a picture of this if this is something you're looking into. Get a microphone, get the setup, get a light. Or don't. Just use your phone. Whatever it takes to get you to do it. Because you, talking to you, have what it takes. And people want to listen to you. How many of you will take action? I'm not going to call you out, except, oh, good. There we go. We got some hands raised. So by this time next year, if I email you all, will you have a podcast? Better yet, better yet. And who can you get my information from? Actually, you can just go to our website. Jason and I will be on your podcast. Okay? I have been the first guest for a lot of podcasts. And I've also, and get this, you have a podcast, you know what people do? They do podcast swaps. So if you get me to be on your podcast, chances are I'll get you to be on my podcast. I have a lot of listeners on my podcast. If you want to get yourself out there, that might be a really good way to do it. And I'm not the only one that does that. There are a lot of podcasters out there. That's how Jason and I got out to the network that we have currently. We were on people's podcasts. So I got a lot of information to go through right now. Hopefully I don't get the hook. So now, we went through that. What happens after? I drill this into our mastermind. Relationships equal partnerships. You need to build your ships. So you get people, you get yourself out there, you get your voice out there. This is how you get yourself to investors. One way how. This is how you get yourself to investors. Start that podcast, get yourself out there, build yourself a thought leadership platform. It's also a great way for brokers to look you up. Because now you have a thought leadership program, I keep on saying program. Now you have it, and now they have something to look for when they're looking you up. Ships, serve, know how you bring value. Again, Yang said it best today. Find your strength and hone in on that. I want you to dig deep. Like I said, if you know dogs, talk about dogs. Go to that network. If you know single family real estate, Go to that network. Let them know what you're getting into. Partner up with some of those people. Let them know all the information you downloaded from this. Talk to them about it. So know how you bring value here. So this is during your calls or when you're networking. I want you to actually hear the other investor. Listen, and you need to take notes on them, how you might best serve them. This is not about you. I know you want to raise the capital, but right now it's not about you. How can you best serve them? If they are looking for a quick turn on their investments, multifamily is probably not the right place for them. Great thing is you can introduce them to one of the flippers you know. And once they start making money with that flipper, guess who they're going to come back to when they have the capital to invest? I introduce multifamily real estate with education. It's really as simple as those questions that they answered early on. Know multifamily. Learn the basics. Dig deep, let them know. And even if it's simple as, hey, I just started into multifamily. Say if you raised your hand, you don't know multifamily, you just started, so how do I have that conversation? Hey, cousin. I can talk about my cousin Shannon, for instance. She's known me all my life. She found me again on Instagram, followed me for 2 years before she actually called me. Now she calls me like weekly to get more information. But if I didn't know anything about multifamily, I would say, hey, Shannon, guess what? I just got into this thing called multifamily. I would love for you to come on this adventure with me, to come learn with me. And we can build this legacy together. And you can say it like that. I know it came out kind of awkward, but hey, that's me. You say it how you want to say it. Get to your sphere. Introduce multifamily real estate with education. Prepare by speaking with your friends and family. Stop overthinking and just connect. Let's talk conversion. That last 2 slides usually takes me a half an hour. I sped through it because I want to talk about conversion in a little bit. I don't have that much time to. So how do you get those conversations? And I tell you all to have these conversations all the time. Talk to everybody, get connected, let them know what you're doing. So how do you take them to the next step? You focus on your passive investors by centering on them. The first call is about hearing your investor, engaging in their needs, and it's never about the money. I literally do not ask for money. I provide an opportunity. Hear your investors and educate them about the opportunity that now only you can provide them. You know about multifamily. You have a duty to tell them. You have a duty to let them know how they can build their legacy wealth. Consideration. It takes at least 3 to 8 touches to lead to engagement and familiarity. So this is where the podcast comes in again, right? Even if it's your cousin, Shannon, you can have a great conversation with her, and maybe she's not ready. Or in her case, she was actually taking a HELOC on her home, and she wasn't ready. So instead of spending hours upon hours with her, I sent her to my podcast. I said, listen to these episodes. They have all the information you need. And now she's one of our investors. She invested a couple of months ago in one of our deals. This is all about nurturing. Follow up. This is a big thing. We've talked about follow up with brokers, follow up with sellers. You gotta follow up with your investors. You can't get that deal and all of a sudden you haven't talked to any investors and expect that they're gonna invest with you. It doesn't happen that way. You have to nurture them. This is why the podcast, having evergreen content out there, and Jason and I have been stopped so often today saying, oh, we get your emails all the time. We send you all a lot of emails. But you all know our names. Even I go through my emails, I'm like, wow, I see my name all over the place. Get yourself out there. Create a mock deal. This is literally a 1-pager with maybe a picture of a building that you think you might want to get one day, with all the items that you're looking for. We actually have one written up. Maybe I'll share it on Facebook if you want to go look at it. Create the mock deal, send it out to your investors. Have a newsletter. We talked about that. Content, personal calls. I will talk to everyone. This is what makes me a great capital raiser. You could be a college student, no money. I want to talk to you because I don't know if in 10 years you're going to have the capital to invest. You could be a billionaire. I want to talk to you. I don't know if I'm the right person for you, but I still want to talk to you. I want to talk to everyone that wants to talk to me. So understand that you can talk to anybody and everyone. Everyone can be your investor if you just open your mouth and let them know that you exist and this opportunity exists. Be organized. So for my capital raisers, how many of you have a list of investors that you have talked to, their addresses, their phone numbers, the notes on those calls, basically a CRM of your investors? Please raise your hand. Awesome. You should all have this. I know I forget things all the time. Having this is tantamount. Who's actually raising capital right now? Right now. This list, how helpful is it? Very helpful, right? Because you basically copy and paste, you throw it into the list that you have in your partnership, and now everyone can see where you're at in your capital raise. They can see what's been committed. All this work, everything that I'm telling you, is to bolster up once you finally have that deal. Once you finally have that deal, now you know how much capital you can raise because of this list. It's really important. So take a picture of it. Maybe I'll post it right underneath the mock deal. So if you're not following me, follow me. I'll post both of these things. In fact, I will give you the link to this. That way you can just make your own copy. Please make your own copy. Do not put your investors on the public list. Okay, promise. Let's get through this. Get your investors to a commitment. You've laid the foundation of your thought leadership platform by starting a video podcast or an in-person meetup. You've reached out and created relationships with people. Now it just comes down to one question. So whether or not you have a deal, you're working on a deal, you don't have a deal, this is the one question I ask every investor. And I need to listen to my investor and see if I can take them to this question. But you have to have the guts to ask this question. Once I have a deal, or hey, I have this deal that I would like to talk to you about, or I've been talking to you about, how much do you think you could commit to the deal? It's really an easy question. But you have to ask it. Because in order to have those soft commitments, you actually have to ask for the commitment. I know I tell you a lot that I don't ask for money. This is the one time I kind of do. But still, I'm not, because I'm still providing that opportunity, right? By asking them what they can invest, I've already given them all the information on the opportunity that I can provide for them. I'm going to share a little roadmap for you, and then I'll be done. The investor's journey. We went through awareness. Maybe they're aware of multifamily. Maybe they're aware that you do multifamily. Somehow they got aware, maybe through your podcast. A lot of you are here because of our podcast or a podcast. Somehow they got aware. Education. Either they're being educated by you or they're being educated by someone else. Guess what? If you have a video podcast, they get to be educated by who? You. Relationship. Relationship equals partnership. And this is where you're talking to them. You're establishing the relationship. You're letting them know about what you do and how you do it. And you're getting to know them. That's actually most important because you need to literally know that they are either sophisticated or accredited. That way you know what kind of information, what kind of investment that they can go into. Consideration, this is where they're considering whether or not to invest in you. Conversion, this is where you talk to them and let them understand that they should invest in you. This is where you convert them. Investment. This is where they invest with you because you've laid the foundation for their investment. At this point, it's either they're going to invest with you or they're not. And they're going to invest with you because you've laid that foundation. I never ask for money. I raise capital to raise up my investors. I provide opportunity. I guide my passive investors with education and aloha. I want you to take a picture of this and write your own version of it. And that is going to be the motto of your podcast, by the way. Right. Are you guys still taking a picture? Okay. Okay. How will you educate? How will you raise up your friends and family? By providing them with an opportunity. And the opportunity is right now. Thank you.
What is going on, everybody? Let me get pinned up here. Awesome. Pila is an amazing human. Some great tips about raising money, building your brand, growing your network so that people can flow you. Because if they don't know you, they can't flow you. And raising money is people are trusting you with their hard-earned capital. I take that very seriously, and so should you. And they really need to know, like, and trust you. And if they have never seen your face before, and it's the first time you're calling them out of the blue, and now it's time to raise money for a deal, it's going to be very tough, especially if you have a tight window to start raising money when you have a deal. So like we always recommend talking to your investors, your investor network, or your potential investors before you have a deal, so that you have a kind of a knowledge of how much money you can raise and what will be committed to your deal. So then you feel more comfortable submitting LOIs, knowing that, hey, I've already had a conversation and gotten, 700,000 in soft commits. And now you can feel comfortable submitting a $2 million, $3 million LOI because you've gotten the down payment pretty much soft committed already. So some great tips. I hope y'all were taking notes. I'm going to take a couple minutes to go through some things before I bring up our next speaker. And you are going to want to stick around for the rest. We're just stacking this and getting better and better. I'm coming on to talk about seller financing a little bit later. This next speaker is going to bring down the house. But before I do that, I wanted you guys just to, I had some questions. My team tells me there was a few questions that came in about the program that I talked to you guys about yesterday. So the 7-figure multifamily program. And I wanted to just hit on those questions because we had about 10 of them that came through. And a lot of them were similar. So I figured if 10 people asked, there's probably 100 people that have the same question. So in my experience, like one of the questions we got was, am I ready? Am I too beginner? Should I just get started on my own and then make money and join? And the question is really it's a tortoise and the hare scenario. So you can cut a check for speed, or you can do it yourself. And then it's going to cost you time, energy, money. And that's really the decision that y'all have to make is, do you want to go ahead and cut a check for experience, speed, and knowledge, and just get everything that's been in my head over the past 8 years, and Jason's head over the past 10 years, and Bill's head, and we can just dump it into you, all the mistakes that we've made. That's one of the questions I'm going to answer during the Q&A is, what mistakes have I made? And you can just learn from those mistakes and not make them yourself. So you're never too beginner to get into a mastermind like this. We have people all over the spectrum from 0 to 500 units in their portfolio. I think the biggest thing is just resources and training and templates and LOIs and contracts and all the things that we have that we'll be able to just give to you that is really worth, stroking that check for, is because you're cutting a check for speed. So it's going to save you time, energy, money. It's going to help you streamline, simplify your business. And it's actually it's an investment, not an expense. So try not to look at a coaching program as an expense. It's more of an investment that you're making in yourself. Somebody asked, what is a mastermind group? So it's a group of people that come together that combined can do way more than they could on their own. So that's one of the questions that we got. If I have not done my first deal yet, a 7-figure multifamily for me, absolutely, it's exactly for you. We help people get their first deal or their next deal. If you're just getting started, if you're looking to scale, the information within the group and the course is really there to help. So if you were at the live event, you saw these people walking across the stage, getting their first deal awards and their 100-unit awards and their 500-unit awards. Those people were in the exact same seats that you're in right now. If you currently don't have a large portfolio, like, that's the whole point, and some of these people did it in 12, 24, 36 months. It doesn't take a decade or 2 decades to build a portfolio. It also doesn't take 90 days. I mean, it takes some time and energy, but it's definitely for you if you have nothing or gotten started. We got a question that said, is the laser coaching extra? And no. So laser coaches are available for you to book via Calendly. So you can go in and plug into their slots on their calendar and get coaching calls. I told you guys the laser coaching and the deal reviews and the accountability groups. I mean, everything I talked about yesterday is all really valuable, but the events don't cost extra either. So we do those 2 in-person events. Like, you don't have to pay for those. There's some mastermind groups where there's an entry fee and then they charge you to come to events. I was actually in a mastermind group like that. So we don't do that. That's our entry fee covers the events. You just have to get there, and it covers those events. So one question we got was how high can I go in this group? I mean, you could go as high as you want. We talk a lot about multifamily properties, between like 10 and 150 units, but we have someone that took down a 350 unit property. We have people that have bought 224 unit properties, 252 unit properties. So you can take down some bigger deals. Like I said, it's just an extra zero. It's the same principles, techniques, strategies, and everything, just at a larger scale. So you can go as high as you want to, as many as units as you can. One person said, do I have to pay double if my spouse is joining or my business partner? And the answer is no. Spouses are welcome. Business partners are welcome. We do have some criteria for business partners, but you're welcome to bring your business partner in. Somebody said, how long is the program? We do have members that stay for years and years. It is 12 months, but some people do get what they need out of 12, 24 months. They get what they need to, and that's perfectly fine too. Like, you don't have to stay forever. You're going to come in and get what you want out of it. And I'm hoping that, you'll stay with us. We have opportunities to partner with myself, with Jason, with Bill. So when you do come into the group, we give you all of the information you need to be successful on your own. But if you do need help with like guarantoring loans, putting up balance sheets, things like that, like, we will also help you and be able to partner deals with you to help you get them closed. If you need help raising the money, if you feel more comfortable, if I fly out for your due diligence and help you walk the property, like, we have this a la carte menu basically of what it would look like for us to partner on your first deal with you. And then there's, some tiered splits. So like, if we have to partner and bring the balance sheet for your first deal, and then on the next one, you can do it yourself. Like, my goal is that you don't need us at all, but if you do, to feel more comfortable to get the deal done, we have that opportunity within the group as well. So I mentioned there's a price break for paying in full. So it's $2,500 a month, but if you pay in full, you save $5K because you can pay $25K in full. And then you don't have to commit to paying in full right out of the gate. You can pay monthly, and then once you see the value, you can pay in full. You don't have to. I mean, you can do it however you want it to make sense for you guys. Listen, what I will say is, a lot of you guys are just missing the courage piece, and it's the courage to take that next step and realize that what you're currently doing, if you really have these goals and these are true desires that you have to become somebody different. Like, you have to get around new people, you have to get new information, you have to get in new circles, you have to get in new rooms if you're going to change your current state and then go to this new state of being a successful multifamily investor. I'm not saying you have to like quit your job cold turkey, but you do have to do some things differently. You are a human becoming, not a human being. So if you're a human becoming, you have to consistently be becoming a new person. And in order to do that, you have to get into a new environment. So, one of the questions was just like asking, I got a lot of, it's like, is this right for me type vibes? And the answer is just like, well, I don't know. Do you want to continue doing exactly what you're doing now? Because if you do, then this is not right for you. But if you want to level up your game, you want to achieve financial freedom, you want a new life, this is, can you afford not to, is the question I have. Like, do you want to be sitting in the same position, a year from now, 2 years from now, without any units? Like, can you afford not to do it? So I think that's a big one, is like, can I afford to do this? Is like, I mean, I don't know if you guys can afford not to learn this information really quickly. I believe that we're coming into a very serious storm. I think next year is going to be a very wild ride. I think the market increases, the Fed's rate increases are not done yet. And I think the banking system, we've already started to see kind of that it's a little bit on eggshells. And I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And my personal opinion is that commercial real estate although some sectors of commercial real estate are very volatile right now, like Class A office. There's some retail, some larger retail spaces. Like there's some spaces in commercial real estate that are about to get hammered and crushed that are already we're seeing Class A office loans defaulting like crazy. We are seeing banks close down. Like there's a lot of hectic stuff. And in my opinion, it's the best time to own apartments, mobile home parks, self-storage, things that are stable, that produce cash flow, that can service the debt through the market trough. And my opinion is that like, now's the time you really got to get into this stuff, because hard assets that produce income are going to be worth more than your dollars in your pocket or your paper assets in your stock accounts. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if you can afford not to get into this. The work comes before the belief too. So when you do sign up or you do commit to this, whether you join our group or not, honestly, it's indifferent to me. I'm just trying to help you guys achieve financial freedom for yourselves. But you have to, the work comes before the belief. So if you go out and tell your friends, you go out and tell your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, a lot of them are going to hesitate believing in you, believe it or not, because they have no reason to believe in you. Believe it, like it sounds harsh, but you have to do the work first, and then the belief comes after that. You have to show the body of work and get the results, and then the belief will come, for yourself included. Like a lot of times you have to put in consistent work for months and months and months and months and months over and over again every single day without seeing anything. And then the results start coming, and then the belief starts out like, damn, this is working. Like I can do this. So just keep in mind that there's a lot of work that comes before the belief. Bill did an exercise that I really love. He talked about the biggest expenses in your life. And what he did was he had everybody list what they believe to be the biggest expenses in their life. And what's cool is that you saw a lot of the same things. My mortgage payment, my car payments, my taxes, health insurance, like those are people started just listing all of their biggest expenses in their life. And then he did this exercise that was talking a lot about like, if one smart person can teach another smart person to do something. Like, let's say you want to learn how to make a cheeseburger. I'm pretty smart. You're a pretty smart person. Do you believe that if I know how to make a cheeseburger, I could teach you how to make a cheeseburger and you would be able to do it? Because I'm a smart person and you're a smart person, and one smart person can teach another smart person how to do something. If that's true, do you believe that Jason, Peely, myself, the group, the Laser Coaches, 7-Figure Multifamily could teach you how to increase your net worth by $1 million? If you believe that's true, because we're smart people and we'd like to think you're smart people, if we could teach you how to increase your net worth by $1 million, if you choose not to come and join the group and learn how to increase your net worth by $1 million, the difference between what you're currently worth and $1 million is the expense that you're paying to not get that information. So let's say you're worth $100,000. You are paying $900,000. Believe it or not, you're paying $900,000 to not learn the information to make $1 million. That is the biggest expense in your life. It's actually what you're not willing to pay to learn more. That's actually an expense, because one smart person can teach another smart person what to do. So if you choose to not learn how to do it, that is your biggest expense in life. And nobody even realizes or thinks about it like that. Hey, I'm making 100 grand. I want to make $1 million. You not making $1 million a year is costing you $900,000 a year. So when you're looking at like spending $25,000 on a mastermind to learn how to make $1 million, it's to not lose $875,000. So it is basically what the decision is. So I'm not trying to I'm just trying to make sense of it, because a lot of folks don't equate it the right way. And I think it hurts a lot of people. So think about it like that. And I think you guys will, I always think about things a little bit differently. I think creatively with deals. And I also think about, I always invest in myself first and then in businesses. Opportunity costs must be considered. That's right. That's your opportunity cost right there. So without further ado, I felt like I felt like I had to get some stuff off my chest. I'm sitting here watching you guys, and I want to come through the computer screen and just tell you guys, shake you and give you all the information I have in my head and tell you to go out and get after it, because you can all do this. Listen, I was flipping houses. I was wholesaling and flipping houses. I had no guidance whatsoever. And I stumbled upon the 7-figure community, and I was like doing one deal every couple months, and I was really struggling. Credit card bills were up to my eyeballs. I had no money in the bank. I was eating. I had to lift up my center console and get change out of the center console to get my next meal. Like, I've been broke before. I've been dead broke. And what happened was I was flipping houses. In that first year, I was just banging my head against the wall because I had no team. I had nobody around me. I was on an island, and I stumbled upon the 7-figure community, and I joined up, and it just skyrocketed my wholesaling and flipping business and allowed me to partner up with Bill. And then I started making, some good money because I had some damn systems and processes, and I had some people who had the blueprint teaching me what to do. And once that happened, like, it was just, at that point, it was just, how much gas can I pour on this fire? Because now I had the blueprint. And that's what we're trying to give you, is the blueprint. Unfortunately, I can't give you the entire blueprint over, virtual over 2 days. Like, it's going to take a while. So if the blueprint is there, and it hasn't changed in commercial real estate in a long time. Now the market's changing, the debt service is changing, the underwriting is changing, but the basics are the fundamentals are here. So the 7-figure community kind of changed my life, and that's why I'm, an owner in this company right now, and that's why I'm a preacher of it too. So I wanted to just say those things. They were on my heart, and maybe somebody out there needed to hear some of them. And I appreciate you guys listening to me. I have a Q&A at the end for more specific questions, and I will bring up this next speaker. He has an intro video. He's an amazing human being. I don't want to spoil his because they have an intro video for him, so I don't want to spoil it. But I will tell you that this guy is going to rock your world. He's going to give you the fire that you need to take anything down in your life that you currently have on your horizon. We all have fires that we're dealing with. We all have things in our life that we're going through that nobody knows about. And all of them take energy and effort. And I love all you guys, even though I don't know a lot of you. I love all you guys, and I want you to be successful. I think that we live in a time where mediocrity is pushed very hard. Victim mentality is celebrated. And we live in a world where they want you to be freaking dependent, and I want you guys to be independent. I want you guys to have cash flow that covers all of your living expenses and your lifestyle needs. I want you guys to live a life that you don't need a vacation from, and I want you guys to be able to make any decision you want. So that's genuine, and I'm trying to give you guys all the information here today in order to help you do that. This next speaker is going to help light a fire, and I can't wait to bring him up. Let's roll the cue video for Walter Bond.
My purpose today is to introduce a very neat person. It's your keynote speaker.
What is more important in your life than for you to reach your potential?
This individual is a business expert, and he's as highly sought after professional speaker as there is. This Bond Group organization impacts companies, professionals at all levels on the power of being accountable.
See, being successful in life is really about accountability, and it's really about you doing what you said you're going to do. Look to your neighbor right now and say, what happens to you happens to me.
This individual also, before founding this training and development company by the name of Walter Bond, played professional basketball for NBA teams such as the Utah Jazz, Detroit Pistons, and the Dallas Mavericks.
When I played in high school, my high school basketball coach said, hey, for you guys who want to go to the next level, listen to me. When I played college ball, my coach would say, hey, for you guys who want to go to the next level, listen to me.
Walter delivers more than 100 life-changing keynotes and seminars each year.
Everyone in this ballroom has a next level, and I'm here to push you to your next level.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage award-winning speaker and business coach, Mr. Walter Bond.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the And they stay there. And they say yeah.
Yeah. All right, clap our hands. Come on, give me something. Come on, clap your hands. You got some rhythm. Come on. Yeah, all we do is win. All right. Let's cut that music. All right. How you guys doing this morning? Come on now, I need some attitude. How you guys doing this morning? Oh, man. Isn't this a great day to be alive? Raise your hand and say yes. Let me make sure I'm in the right place. If you want to make a whole lot of money, raise your hand and say yes. If you want to get everything that God has for you, raise your hand and say yes. If you have not reached your potential and you know you have more to get, raise your hand and with attitude, say yes. Yes. Love it, man. Let me tell you something. Before I get started, my wife and I, we are living a dream. We are literally living a dream life. And so what I want to do today is just have a logical conversation with you. That's all I want to do is have a logical conversation with you because I want you to get everything out of life. And what I believe, if I can do it, you can do it. Literally. If I can do it, you can do it. And what I realized on my way to the NBA, I was merely doing research on how to become the best in the world at what you do. Could you imagine, as a commercial real estate investor, becoming the best in the world at what you do? Could you just imagine just for a moment, if you, just you, become one of the best in the world at commercial real estate? If you become the best in the world at commercial real estate, will money be a problem? No. Will you leave a legacy? Will your family say, oh my God, thanks, Dad? Oh, Mom, amazing. So what we're going to talk about today is how to become elite. Is everybody with me? Yes. Now, before I go any further, I have to introduce my teammate. Is that okay? Yes. I've been married for 29 years. I have been married for 29 years. I thought you guys would clap for that one, man. And all I wanted in my life was have a cute wife who was smart, who would be my business partner. And God delivered. My wife, Antoinette, stand up for a moment. Not only is she cute, she's smart, and honestly, truth be told, she's my personal coach. Does that make sense? And together, we've done some amazing things that'll blow your freaking mind. I'm gonna share some of them with you today, and they're not to brag, okay? Don't take it the wrong way. I just wanted to let you know what is possible. Is everybody with you? Now, here's the first thing we were able to achieve. I became one of the best basketball players in the world. If you really think about it, it's hard to calculate the likelihood of becoming an NBA ball player. Would you guys agree? Let me give you a stat. Only 2% of high school athletes actually get a college scholarship to play sports. 2%. So if you have young kids, leave your coach alone. Right? You go to these AAU tournaments in hockey and soccer and baseball, you have parents acting like maniacs, harassing the coach, harassing the referees, getting into fights, trying to kill each other. Honey, if your son or daughter is the next thing, everybody will know. When I was 12 years old, parents would yell out, he's too old, check his birth certificate. That kid is not 12. Well, they didn't realize they were watching a future NBA ball player. Is everybody with me? And it was a natural gift that I had to develop. Does that make sense? So it's almost impossible to calculate the chances of becoming an NBA ball player. So on my way to the NBA, I was doing research for you. When my NBA career ended, we had no money coming in, but we understood the formula on how to become elite. My wife and I launched a company. We worked together. And in 3 years, we doubled our NBA income. 10 years later, we were in the Hall of Fame for motivational speakers. So after my basketball career was over, to this day, we've been able to generate over $25 million just talking. Not to mention the billions of dollars we generated for our clients. Just recently, we were at an event and I got a chance to meet Derek Jeter, the baseball player. You guys know who Derek Jeter is? Hall of Fame ball player. And the founder of the company knew I was an athlete. I missed Derek Jeter's session because I arrived later. So he arranged a special meetup with Derek Jeter. So I'm thinking, man, he seems like a cool guy. I never met him before. I want to go and meet Derek Jeter. And you know what? To his credit, he was kind of on. You know, just thinking I'm in there to be another fan. I was like, I'm not looking to be a fan. I respect you. I think maybe we'd be boys or something. And so we started talking, and I could just tell he was on. And I get that because sometimes I'm on, right? And so I was like, you know, hey, do you play ball? Yeah, man, I played high school ball. And then we started talking about where each other lives. And I said, man, the owner of the Marlins, who Derek Jeter was the president of the Marlins, is my neighbor. He goes, what? Which owner? The owner, your boss, is my neighbor. He tilted his head and just looked at me. And then his handler, I guess, was going to challenge me. What neighborhood? I go, St. Andrews and Boca. And they both just looked at me as if, how in the hell are you neighbors with my boss? Ladies and gentlemen, the founder of Home Depot, Bernie Marcus, is my neighbor. If I can do it, you can do it. And all I want to do today is teach you what is required for you to become elite. If you want to learn that today, raise your hand and say yes. Yes. If you want to become the best in the world at what you do, raise your hand and say yes. Yes. If you are tired right now, because some of you guys are tired, you've been so freaking busy. I'm exhausted. Here's the truth. Some people are busy and some people are productive. You guys want to understand, let me teach you something powerful. There's a big difference between being busy and productive. Go and ask all your friends, all your family, how's it going? I'm just so busy. I'm just busy, 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 busy. People get addicted to being busy. Some of you guys are so busy and you are going nowhere, but you're addicted to being busy. I didn't come here to be busy. You don't make $25 million being busy. You make $25 million being productive. You don't make it to the NBA being busy. You make it to the NBA by being productive. Can you do yourself a favor, get delivered from being addicted to being busy, and I need you to become productive. Because here's what happens to busy people. If you look at their lives in 5-year increments, they look the same, talk the same credit score, same amount of money, everything's exactly the same, but you've been so freaking busy, you've got nothing done. If I look at your life in 5-year increments, and you're productive, it should look like this. You know, I started with residential homes, and man, I got into commercial real estate, and I went from 10 million to 20 million in 5 years. I went from 20 million to 50 million in 5 years. I went from 3 million to 100 million in 5 years. Does that make sense? We doubled our MBA income in 3 freaking years. Why? Because I understand how to spend time, and I understand how to spend money, and I know the formula of how to become elite. I want to teach you the importance of time. I want to teach you how to use money. Money is a currency that is meant to flow. Money is a currency that is meant to flow. If you ever look at a river, it's a current that's constantly flowing. Some of you guys struggle because you're so freaking cheap. You're that internet YouTube hustler. Man, I ain't paying for that crap. I'm a YouTuber. Am I being honest with you today? My wife and I have 2 coaches. No, we have 3 coaches. For the rest of my life, I'm going to always have coaches, and coaches pay for themselves. I'm getting ahead of myself. You guys ready? Yeah. Are you guys ready? Yeah. I was just warming up. I was just stretching. Because what I want to do right now is teach you everything I know about peak performance. Because when my wife and I leave this ballroom, we're going to go back up into our hotel room, do some work to figure out how we're going to make even more money. Does that make sense? Because we know the formula, and the formula freaking works. All I need to do is learn today. All I need you to do is be a student today. So the question should be, what is required to become elite? That should be the only thing you're thinking about. Because when I was an athlete, I would go to my coach and say, Coach, what do I need to do to play college ball? He told me what I needed to do, and I did it. I went to my college coach. Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? He told me what I needed to do, and I did it. When my NBA career was over, my wife got me a business coach. And I said, man, great idea, honey. I have never had a real freaking job. So it made sense to kind of collapse time frames. My peer group had been in the workforce for 10 years, over a decade. And I had never had a real job. Coaches save you time. Coaches save you money. Coaches protect you from mistakes. And coaches make sure you win. She didn't tell me how much the coach cost. Hey, babe, how much is the coach? No, never mind. Checking account was dwindling. My NBA career was over. Babe, how much? Come on now, how much? What? $3,000 for one day? For $3,000 in one day, I want to talk to Jesus. And I'm from Chicago too, man. But all my coaches in sports were multimillionaires because they were good. They were multimillionaire coaches because they were the best in the world at what they did. I just didn't have to pay for them. My college coach, Clem Haskins, University of Minnesota, former NBA ball player, Olympic coach, World Games coach. I got the benefit of his coaching, but I didn't have to pay. I played for Jerry Sloan, the winningest all-time coach in the history of the NBA to only have one lottery pick. With one lottery pick, he became the 4th winningest coach in the history of the NBA. I got access to him, but I did not have to pay. So my career's over. And for the first time, I gotta pay. On my way to the airport, I got a bad attitude. I went from a good idea to a bad idea, $3,000 a day, and the first thing dude gets in my car and say, hey, could you stop by Starbucks? I want some coffee. What? Why didn't you get some coffee in there? I'm thinking this, right? What? We pay you $3,000. I better hurry up and get home. I want to talk about them coffee. I'm in the car with a bad attitude. Dude wants some coffee. So I'm in Starbucks waiting for him to get some coffee with a bad attitude. Because this dude costs a lot of money. We get him back to the office. He started asking me questions about business that I could not answer. And before I knew it, I realized how much I didn't know. By the end of the day, I was speechless. And I looked at my wife and said, babe, I am completely clueless. Thank you. I needed this. We hired him to build our brand. He says, Walter, I'm going to call you Mr. Accountability. We took that brand, Mr. Accountability, and made millions of dollars, and it only cost $3,000. I went from complaining about $3,000. Now when I look back on it, we made millions of dollars off his coaching, and it only cost $3,000. He didn't charge enough in my mind. Mr. Accountability, we rocked that thing for 5 and 7 years, and companies loved it. Yeah, we need accountability, hire him. We need accountability, hire him. We need accountability. And it only costs $3,000. And coaches can't help but coach. On the way to the airport, he asked me another question. We hired him to build our brand, but coaches can't help but coach. Once you get around a great coach, all they do is coach. They can't help it. They're going to give you all kind of value. And he says, you know what, how many sales calls a day do you make? Huh? He says, you know, I'm going to get your brand together. You're going to be Mr. Accountability. But on the way back to the airport, it's all the same day. How many sales calls a day do you make? He says, you mean to tell me you're a business person and you don't ask people to buy? Then he cursed at me. He says, what in the blank do you do all day? Then I felt like I was right back into an NBA locker room. What in the blank do you do all day? Worry, hope, dream, hit refresh, hoping something magically shows up in my inbox. From that one day, we built an amazing brand, and I began to make sales calls. I called 25 people a day and asked them to buy. In 3 years, I called 18,000 people and asked them to buy. The single most powerful thing we have ever done to generate business and revenue, and that was a bonus from my coach that I complained about for $3,000. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to teach you a formula right now. And all I want you to do is learn. Because if I could become the best in the world in 2 different things, and mind you, I flunked out my first high school, and now they call me a thought leader. You guys know I never started on my college basketball team. And I became the first ever undrafted rookie free agent in the history of the Dallas Mavericks. When I tell you, you have not scratched the surface, I mean it. When I tell you, you got so much more to give, I mean it. But I was in my own way. Academically, I was in my own way athletically, and thank God he sent me coaches to get me out my hole. Thank God he sent me coaches to teach me how. Even I wasn't even asking for it. He sent people to help me out my hole, and now I'm coming to you. Because I don't know where you are in your life, but I promise you, if you listen, follow directions, and execute, you will win. If you think, if you execute, you will win. What is required? Here's what is required. This formula on the screen is the process that you need to go through to become an expert. Do you think that the day that Bill Allen was born, he was an expert in commercial real estate? No, he became an expert in commercial real estate. Do you think the day he was born a pilot? No. He made a decision that one day I'm going to become a pilot. Does that make sense? No different than me. The first day that Michael Jordan touched the basketball, was he an expert? You guys have heard the story. He got cut off his high school team. But he made a decision that I'm going to become an expert. Can I ask you a question? Have you made that decision that you're going to become an expert? Some of you guys have not made that decision. Some of you guys just like to do stuff. Some of you guys like to try stuff out. Some of you guys like, you know, I'm just going to see what real estate is all about, and you bought one house. I kind of like it. Then you bought 2 houses. And I kind of like it. Then you got 10 houses and 20 houses. And then you got the wise idea that, you know what? Let's bust out the pack of residential. And man, I want to do commercial. That's where the big boys play. So I want you to use this chart, because I had to go through these levels as a basketball player myself. as a motivational speaker. I had to go through these levels myself. And I did not get into the Hall of Fame until I became an expert motivational speaker. Why do I still have a coach? Because I have not reached my potential. Tony Robbins is not a motivational speaker. He's a transformational expert. My coach is coaching me on how to become a transformational expert. I don't want to just inspire you. I want to give you the how to become elite. So I want you to look at this screen and locate yourself. Right now, as a commercial real estate expert, where do you fit in right now today? Are you an amateur? Because you haven't done a deal yet. Raise your hand if that's you. It is what it is. You're an amateur, dude. You're no different than that guy at the park trying to hoop. Does that make sense? Outside with no net. Does that make sense? It's okay. But we have to locate ourselves. You guys agree? So if you're an amateur and want to get to the novice level, that's the next level. So the question should be, you know what, if I'm an amateur, Walter, that's a great point. What do I need to do to become a novice? And here's the great thing about the next level, there's rewards. And in sports, we keep score, but in business, we keep score by money. You guys hear what I'm saying? So you get rewarded if you go from this level to the next level. If you go from amateur to novice, there's a reward. But if you stay an amateur, there's no reward. Raise your hand if you're a novice. You know, I got one commercial building and, you know, I only did one. And me and 15 other people did it together. I wanted to mitigate the risk because I'm really a scaredy cat. And if it doesn't work, the risk is mitigated. Raise your hand if you consider yourself a novice. Okay, fair, be honest. And you better raise your hand for something. What do you need to do to go from being a novice to a learner? What is your next level going to be requiring you? I started playing on the playgrounds in Chicago. My next level was organized ball. Once I played organized ball, my next level was making my high school team. Once I made my high school team, my next level was being a Division I athlete. You guys see the progression? You should be looking at this the same way. Where are you right now? You better locate yourself, because if you can't locate yourself, you can't make any moves getting to your next level. So can I ask you a real question? If you're an amateur, raise your hand one more time. If you are a novice, raise your hand one more time. If you are a learner, raise your hand. You know, I got some buildings, I made some mistakes. Raise your hand, that's you. So what do you need to do to become skilled? Remember growing up, guys, some of those dudes had that yo-yo. You guys remember that? And they could make that yo-yo dance. I could never do that. Just one down and up. I'm like, hallelujah, I did it, one down and up. I'm done. And then I couldn't even get the thing off my finger. You guys know what I'm talking about? I mean, one day Michael Jordan touched the basketball as an amateur, and eventually it was a yo-yo. Does that make sense? One day Tony Robbins grabbed a microphone, he was an amateur, now it's on a yo-yo. Does that make sense? See, one day you started buying homes, and you were thinking about being a commercial real estate investor, but you better get that thing on that's an expert. So you have to be focused on getting to your next level. If you have the next level, raise your hand and say yes. Let me ask this question again. If you're not at the top of the food chart, raise your hand and say yes. If you're not a freaking expert, raise your hand and say yes. If you're not one of the best in the world at what you do, raise your hand and say yes. You know, let me be honest with you, and I'm gonna get into my program right now. When I go back to NBA ball events with former players, it hurts. You guys know why it hurts? They don't know my name. NBA All-Star Weekend was in Chicago, my hometown. They let all the NBA ball players in. I got up to the door, and the security guard did like this. Man, I play in the league. Yeah? What's your name? Walter Bond. Who'd you play for? Oh, man. All these people around. It's NBA All-Star Weekend. And I'm at the door embarrassed. In my hometown, these people didn't know my name. And all the other NBA ball players walked right by me. And some of them didn't know my name. Ouch. Why? I didn't become an expert. Some of you guys might be impressed I played in NBA, but by NBA standards, I was a freaking novice. I had an average NBA career, 3 years. And as a result, those 3 years were not memorable. Does that make sense? As a motivational speaker, for walking to a room of other motivational speakers, they all know my name. Can I ask you a question? If you walk into a room full of other commercial real estate investors in your town, do they know who you are? Let me give you a little bit of a tip. You have not scratched the surface until everyone in your town knows your name. That's got to be your mission, because that's when you achieve expert status. Does that make sense? It is what it is. When I got cut from the NBA, I cried in my wife's arms. And I said, babe, I'm going to be great at something. I'm going to be great at something. And she says, well, I'm going to help you. You need a coach. And that's where we started. I put that up there because I need you to locate yourself. You don't need to broadcast it. You don't need to tell everybody. I want you to know in your heart where you are right now as a commercial real estate investor, because my job is to help you get to your next level. How did I make it to the NBA? Fundamentals. I couldn't dream about it. I had to get in the gym and work. I had to have a place to go. Can I ask you a question? Where's your place to go to become an expert? I love going to the gym because gym represented hope. If I can just get to the gym, I can work on my game. I can lift weights. I can run. I can be around other ball players who are trying to get to the NBA too. I had a place to go. Can I ask you a question? As a professional, where do you go to become elite? Where do you go to get better? Where do you go that represents growth, development? Some of you guys are scratching the surface, but you're going nowhere because you got no place to go. You're trying to do it on your own. You're trying to do it all by yourself. So when I left the NBA, for a while I had no place to go to get better until I hired that first coach. And all of a sudden, I had a place to go on a regular basis where I could get into my intellectual weight room, where I can get into my wisdom weight room. I could no longer make money with my body. Now I had to make money with my mind. Now I want you to give yourself a round of applause because I have a lot of respect for you. Give yourself a round of applause. I was blessed by God to be 6'5". I was blessed by God to have big hands. I was blessed by God to have long arms. I have some physical attributes that allowed me to go and make great money as an athlete. Some of you guys are in this room and you're 5'3". And it's okay. So you're the hero for me. It's baffling to me that people say, man, you're an athlete, that's awesome. Man, what you do is awesome. Because I'm looking at your body. You didn't do it with your body. I think it's incredible that you did it with your mind. So you might be thinking I'm the hero, but honestly, to me, you're the hero. Because one day you went to that gym, you said, well, basketball's not it. One day you went to that gym and said, you know what, football's not it, baseball's not it, but I'm still going to be successful. I'm still going to live the American dream. I'm still going to live the life I've dreamt about. It's not going to be based on my physical attributes. It's going to be based on my mental development and my business development, I think that you are the true hero. I think that you are the ones that the American dream is all about. But how did I become an expert in basketball? Fundamentals. I had to master the fundamentals. Using common sense. I would never have played in the NBA if I didn't dribble like an NBA ball player. I would have never played in the NBA if I couldn't shoot like an NBA ball player. I would have never played in the NBA if I couldn't defend like an NBA ball player. I would have never touched the NBA if I couldn't rebound like an NBA ball player above the rim. Some people play under the rim. If you're going to play in the NBA, you have to play above the rim. Everybody hear what I'm saying? Which means I had to get my physical body into great shape. It took 15 years to master the fundamentals of basketball. The good news is, the moment I mastered the fundamentals of basketball is the day I became a pro. So can I ask you a question? What fundamentals have you mastered? I mean, if you're an amateur in commercial real estate, you have a whole lot of fundamentals to master. If you agree with me, raise your hand and say yes. If you're a novice in real estate, raise your hand and say yes. Which means you simply have more fundamentals to master until you become an expert. You guys remember Karate Kid? Mr. Miyagi was the coach. Until he could snatch the pebble from his hand. He wasn't ready. Everybody hear what I'm saying? The job of a coach is impartation. And over time, eventually, once you become a black belt, the coach has literally imparted everything they know into you. If you think about the greatest movies of all time, we have the formula. Didn't Rocky have a great coach? Right? Didn't Karate Kid have a great coach? Wasn't there an advisor in Star Wars? It's impossible to reach your potential without an advisor. Impossible. If you don't get anything else out of my program today, trust me, I failed enough for you to realize that it's impossible to reach your potential without an advisor. One of my coaches, we pay $5,000 a month. One of our other coaches, we pay $10,000 a month. And my personal trainer, I work out with them every single day. And it costs me only $30 a workout, so he's, I bapped the whole month in advance. Does that make sense? So my son says, Dad, you're a former NBA ball player. You don't need a trainer. Oh, yes, I do. Dad, you know all the exercises. I know, but I need accountability. I need that coach to make sure I get my butt up and work. So I pay him $30 a day to make sure that I work out. Does that make sense? Because if I don't pay him that $30 a day, if I don't have a personal trainer, it is so easy to blow a workout. If you agree with me, raise your hand and say yes. Let me give you something to prove this point to you. I keynoted Planet Fitness. Anybody here belong to Planet Fitness? I was their national keynote speaker, and in my research, you know what they told me? Every health club in America hits record numbers in January. Health clubs are jam-packed in January. They get ready to take in the harvest in January. But you know what happens by March 1st? They're back to regular numbers, which means these well-meaning people who had every intention of getting back into shape, so New Year's resolution, within 8 weeks, they quit. Why? They went to the gym by themselves. They had a place to go, but sometimes they didn't go because they had nobody there holding them accountable to make sure let they go. Can I ask you a question? Who's more likely to get in shape? A person with a personal trainer or a person without a personal trainer? Common sense. I've been with my trainer, 4 months? And we got on the scale the other day, and I didn't tell him I had a cheeseburger the night before because I was and I was afraid to get on the scale because I'm like, oh shoot, why'd I eat that cheeseburger? He's been on me about my diet, whatever. I got on the scale, I've been up to 315 pounds. I got on that scale, I was like, man, I want to be under 300, Jesus Christ. Why'd I eat that cheeseburger? Oh my God. Of all the days he asked me to weigh in, 299.4. Hallelujah. He said, weigh yourself and text me. I said, man, I'm under 300 pounds. He says, our next stop is 275. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't do it by myself. I love food too much. I can't do it by myself. I love beer too much. I can't do it by myself. I love to cook, which means I love to eat. I'm going to get to 275, I know it. But my coach is there to advise me. What fundamentals do you need to master? I'm not going to go real deep into this, but my wife and I built a global training and development company, and this is our personal development system. The first thing we do is get you into our program, and we work on your mindset. Okay? Take a picture of it. I'm going to give you something free. Today is just an introduction. Today is just a hello. But let me tell you something. Personal development, who you are, will be reflected on how much money you make. You will not become an expert if you don't master the fundamentals of you. And so I'm going to take a little bit of time. Take out your phone. If you've been eating through COVID, you know how to use a freaking QR code. Take out your phone. I want to give you something free. I'm going to give you something free. Why? Because I'm a nice guy and I love you. My wife and I have made a commitment to serving people. We are in the people business. We had a guy named Bill Rezick, was in the audience just like you. Heard me speak, signed up for one of our coaching programs, and in 12 months, dude doubled his freaking salary. That's what coaches do. That's what Bill Allen and his team is trying to get into your cheap, knuckle, hard-headed, YouTube-serving, freebie self. Coaches save you time. Coaches save you money. Coaches save you from mistakes. You mean to tell me you want to be a big-time commercial real estate agent and you are choking on $2,500 a month? Are you freaking kidding me? You're not serious. You came all the way here to be stubborn? You came all the way here to be hard-headed? You came all the way here to not act on a great opportunity. And I've done that before myself, and I'm gonna teach you what's really at work later on in my program. Take this QR code, download the next level fundamentals, and let's get to work. I'm gonna touch on these right now. Here's the truth in life. There are winners, there's losers, and there's champions. In commercial real estate, there's gonna be winners, losers, and champions. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Which category would you wanna be in? Raise your hand if you want to be a loser in commercial real estate. Raise your hand and say, Walter, that's me. I want to lose. I want to lose it all. I want to do a bunch of bad deals. I want to poorly vet deals. I'm going to have some bad business partners. Hey, man, that's my goal. I want to lose in commercial real estate. Raise your hand and say yes. Of course not. Raise your hand if you want to win in commercial real estate. Why would you want to win if you had a chance to become a champion in commercial real estate? Raise your hand if you want to become a champion in commercial real estate. Muhammad Ali has somebody in this corner, am I right or wrong? Mike Tyson has somebody in this corner, am I right or wrong? Tiger Woods had somebody in his corner, and he was number 1. Who's in this corner now? Nobody. And Tiger Woods has not been right since he lost his daddy and since he fired his coaches. If I'm telling you the truth, raise your hand and say yes. I don't care who you are. I don't care how talented you are. Tiger Woods, to me, if I could talk to him, like, bro, take a deep breath and go get you a coach, man. Go get you a solid coach, because you're trying to do it on your own and it's not working. And we all see it. Sometimes he's a billionaire. He can go and buy the best coach the money could buy. Am I right or wrong? But something in his mind thinks that I can do it on my own. And some of you guys laughed, but you are just as guilty right now. Losers, my first NBA team, I played for the Dallas Mavericks. I'm sitting down signing my contract, and the director of player personnel says, Walter, it's going to be a long year. We're going to lose, and we're going to lose a lot. What? Guess what happened? We lost. And we lost a lot. Why? Bad coaching. Bad culture. Bad organization. We lost, and we lost a lot. And I realized then this is not a good fit for me. I'm a winner, and I need to be around winners. My agent called me. He says, Walter, man, I've heard from the Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz. I didn't do it one bad year, but now the Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz are interested in me. I showed enough that these two winning organizations both wanted me. So my agent says, Walter, while I'm working out the contract, you're from Chicago, why don't you go and work out with the Bulls? So I'm gonna fast forward to that. For 1 week, I was in training camp with the Chicago Bulls. I am from Chicago, man. I'm a Chicago kid. I walked in, saw all the championship banners. They handed me some Chicago Bull workout gear. And I'm like, oh my God, would this not be crazy for me to come back to the crib and play for the Chicago Bulls? This would be crazy. And all of a sudden, Phil Jackson comes out the back. I was like, man, they're going to Phil Jackson. I already played 1 year in the NBA, guys, for one of the worst teams in the history of the NBA. Phil Jackson comes out, hey, when Mike shows up, everybody stays late. When Mike shows up, everybody plays defense. When Mike shows up, man, the buzz in this building was amazing. Then my agent calls me after about a week. He says, Walter, I got the deal done. We're going to Salt Lake City. Mike ain't showed up yet. So I signed my deal. I flew from Chicago to Salt Lake City. In the back of my head was Phil Jackson, legendary coach, and Michael Jordan. For a little bit more money, I chose the Utah Jazz. I got my uniform issued to me, and I'm waiting for the same energy. And our first meeting went like this. Okay, guys, we got to vote on what color shoes we're going to wear. So you can alert your shoe company to send you your shoes. These shoe companies send big 18-wheelers full of sneakers for the whole season. And we voted between white shoes and black shoes. That was our meeting. And we won. I got a chance to play for a winner. But I missed a great opportunity to play for a champ. I'm going to say it one more time. I missed a great opportunity to become a champ. I missed a great opportunity to play with the greatest. I missed a great opportunity to win a ring. I missed a great opportunity to be a hometown hero. And all my way out to Salt Lake City, I thought to myself, okay. Now, playing for a winner is great. And some of you guys are winning. I get it. But some of you guys aren't committed to being a champ. And I understand, because sometimes we do the safe thing. You know, I'm doing okay. I'm fine. I don't want to take any risk. You know, I don't like risk. I mitigate risk for a living. You know, I don't want to. I would love to be a champ, but I'm not willing to go for it. I made the biggest mistake in my life. I had an opportunity to be a part of a championship organization, and I let my agent talk me out of it, and I agreed with them. So it was both our faults. You hear what I'm saying? Some of you guys are calling your wife during the break and say, I don't know, should I do it? Should I do it? I don't know, babe. That's a lot of money. Should I do it? And you're going to let your wife talk you out of it. It might be fine. Your husband might be talking you out of it. Here's what I learned about life. You shouldn't talk yourself out of stuff. You should be talking yourself into stuff. I learned a lot playing for the Utah Jazz. John Stockton, right next to me, would go to a chiropractor 4 times a day. His chiropractor would be in the locker room and would say, hey, Walter, Stockton has already paid for my time. Let me adjust you. You know what I would say? I'm good. All-time winningest point guard that leads the NBA in steals and assists, was showing me his tips on how he had a 19-year career when I only played 3, and my pig-headed self, I'm good, bro, I'm good. That's my problem. I was good. Stockton was great. You know why I rejected it? I was comfortable. Let me teach you something powerful. Don't you ever be committed to your strategy. Be committed to your result. Some of you guys are sitting here, you haven't pulled the trigger because you're committed to your own freaking strategy, even though you're not getting the result. You're in this ballroom because you want the result, but you don't know the strategy. I made it to the NBA with my own strategy. But John Stockton is legendary. And he was trying to show me a better way. He was trying to show me a different way. Walter, you made it here on your own, but let me teach you how to stay here for 19 years. And I rejected the opportunity. Hey, I'm good. Stockton didn't quit the NBA because he lost a step. He quit because they wouldn't let him wear those little tiny shorts anymore. You guys know how incredible it is to play point guard in the NBA for 19 years? At 38 years old, Stockton could guard 18-year-old kids straight out of high school. I saw Stockton recently. He texted me last week. Dude could suit up right now and give somebody 10 minutes at 60 years old. And I guarantee you, he still goes to his chiropractor. It was the place he went. Did you hear what I said? It was his happy place. He believed in his chiropractor. Everyone has to have a place to go to become elite. And he was elite over a long period of time, and he believed in his chiropractor. If you don't believe me, Google it. His chiropractor is named Craig Bueller in Salt Lake City. He made Craig Bueller rich. I add value to you, and you add value to me. I add value to you, you add value to me. Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson. I'm going to make you the best player of all time, and you're going to make me the best coach of all time. I add value to you, and you add value to me. Karl Malone, a couple of doors down, probably had the greatest body in the history of the NBA. He would lift weights every single day. That was his special place. Stockton would go to his chiropractor. Karl would go to his weight room. Hey, young fella, you want to get your lift on? Karl Malone, I know you're the greatest power forward ever. I know you have the greatest body ever. But for some dumb reason, I'm going to give you this answer. Nah, I'm good. I mean, I had a quick conversation with Jerry Sloan. And I said, Jerry, I'm trying to make your team, but I feel like since we don't scrimmage and practice, I feel like I can't show you what I can do. He says, Walter, I already know what you can do. But if you want to make my team, I suggest you listen, follow directions, and execute. Great coaches have systems. Great coaches have methodologies. I'm going to say it one more time. Great coaches have systems, and great coaches have methodologies. He didn't care about my talent. What he cared about, son, if you come in and learn our system, then you can help us win. It's not about what you can do. And some of you guys have been doing it on your own, and you've done okay on your own. But if you want to win at the highest level, you have to understand that you have to have a coach, and great coaches have systems. And because of Jerry Sloan, he inspired our training and development company. He said, Walter, if you listen, follow directions, and execute, you'll be fine. So one of our taglines with our training and development company was inspired by that statement. Think, execute, and win. Repeat after me. Think, execute, and win. Say it one more time. Think, execute, and win. Raise your hand if you know some people who don't think right. When I was young, flunking out of my high school, you know what my mom would say to me? I wish I could just take your head and turn it one more time. That's what she said to me. And I'm looking at her like, what, Mom? What are you doing? She said, baby, if the teacher gives out A's, you know you can get one. If commercial real estate gives out A's, you know you can get one. Some of you guys reject things because you're comfortable. My whole goal was to make it to the NBA. And when I made it to the NBA, I got comfortable. Can I say that was really deep? My whole goal was to make it to the NBA. And when I made it to the NBA, I relaxed because I had hit my goal. Some of you guys have a simple goal. I want to work for myself. So now you own 10 homes, 20 homes. You're flirting with commercial real estate, and you've gotten comfortable because you achieved your very simple goal of being self-employed. If I'm telling you the truth, raise your hand and say yes. Meanwhile, this industry is producing champions. And sometimes we reject stuff because we hit our goal. I'm self-employed. Ain't nobody telling me what to do. I wake up when I want to wake up. I eat what I want to eat. I do what I want to do. My trainer says 7 a.m. But 7 a.m. But I'll see you at 7 a.m. My first couple of sessions, I had a bad attitude. Mr. Motivational Speaker with a bad attitude. And I could barely get through the workouts. And I was embarrassed. He said, do some push-ups. Can I do girly push-ups? I'm not embarrassed to say. A former NBA ball player, 4 months ago, could only do girly push-ups. But now, 4 months later with my coach, clank, 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 In 4 months, I'm not busy working out with him. I'm productive working out with him. Our business coach, who's connected to Tony Robbins. That was a good investment. I've already made my money back. Well, how long have we been working with Kane? Look, this dude here, our business coach is connected to Tony Robbins. We've already made our money back in 4 months. Some sessions I don't even make, I'm good. Okay, let's go. Because I gotta make sure I don't get comfortable. Does that make sense? We're getting results and sometimes we get comfortable. Does that make sense? See, I don't wanna just win anymore, I wanna be a champion. And here's what champions do, they recalibrate. Champions are committed to the strategy, they're committed to the result. So I'm gonna ask you a question. What result do you want in commercial real estate? That's the only thing you should be focused on. What result do I want and how's the quickest route to get there? That should be your mentality. That's how you should be thinking. This is the vision. This is what we're going to become in commercial real estate. And how's the quickest way I could get there? It took me 15 years to make it to the NBA. I was 23 years old. Some kids go out of high school. They got there a little bit quicker than me. How does LeBron James have a 20-year career? He came out of high school. It took me an extra year after college to make it. He got to the NBA 5 years quicker than the average person. Does that make sense? So of course he benefits longer. Does that make sense? So what's your commercial real estate goal? Let's use common sense. What's the quickest route for you to hit that goal? Don't be committed to your strategy if it doesn't work. Your strategy is probably good, but it's not great. Your strategy probably has you winning, but are you going to win it all? The difference between winners and champions is recalibration. Champions constantly recalibrate. Every year, Michael Jordan was trying to figure out, I got a championship last year. How can I get a championship this year? I'm getting older. I'm not as explosive. And late in his career, he made tremendous adjustments. He became a post-up player late in his career, still winning championships. Michael Jordan was committed to the results, not to the strategy. Can I ask you a question? Are you committed to your strategy? Even though it's not getting you the results that you want? Here's what I learned in sports. Here's what I learned in business. You gotta get your mindset right. In that ebook we downloaded, we wrote a book called Swim, and we teach what we call the shark mindset. If you get a chance, go on YouTube. We've had 4.2 million views on the shark mindset. Anybody here seen that video, Shark Mindset? Let me tell you something, man. The Cleveland Browns coach saw that video and had me in front of the Cleveland Browns within 10 days. Now the Cleveland Browns went from being a laughing stock in the NFL to becoming a playoff team. They went from losers to winners. They're climbing the chart. Does that make sense? Where do you locate yourself on this chart? Are you an amateur? Are you a novice? Are you a learner? Here's what I learned. You got to master fundamentals. You have to have a methodology. You got to keep it simple. You have to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. But here's the most important thing I learned about coaching. Integration. Coaches teach you fundamentals and then how to integrate them. So here's an example. My college basketball coach rebuilt my jump shot. I went to him and said, Coach, I'm only 6'5". If I'm going to play in the NBA, I got to be able to knock down the three. So one summer, we worked on my jump shot. The first thing he had to do was get my form right. And then we began to shoot 500 shots a day. He says, Walter, you got to shoot this shot so many times right that when it's game time, you create muscle memory. Because if you don't create muscle memory, when the game is on, you're going to revert back to how you used to shoot the basketball. Anybody hear what I'm saying? So we had to shoot so many jump shots, 500 shots a day, every single day for months, 500 shots a day, every single day for months. I went to that gym with hope. If I could knock down a three-point shot, I could play in the NBA. Every single day, I went to that gym with my coach with hope, and he rebuilt my jump shot. By the end of my career, I went from being known as a guy who couldn't shoot to be known as a shooter. I turned a weakness into a strength. Can I ask you a question? Who's helping you integrate? Who's helping you vet deals? Who's helping you say no? Some of you guys are so thirsty that you see a building and you say, I want it. That's like meeting a cute girl. You don't know nothing about her, but you say, I want it. Or a cute guy. I'm not sexist. And you ain't vet them right. Raise your hand if you had a bad relationship because you didn't vet right. Raise your hand. Aha. And sometimes when you don't vet right, you can pay for years and years and years. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you ever bought a bad building. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you ever bought a bad house. Raise your hand if you ever had some bad business partners. Raise your hand if you have no freaking methodology at all. You just wake up in the morning and work. Raise your hand if that's you. Now, some of you guys didn't raise your hand, but you know I'm telling the truth. Integration is what I learned from my coaches. The great coaches teach you fundamentals. So here's the formula as I close. I'm out of time. I wish I had more time to share. I want to visit with you guys, hug you, take pictures, take photos, answer any questions. If I can become the best in the world in 2 different industries, after flunking out of high school, now I'm a thought leader through coaching. I didn't start in college, and I became an NBA ball player through coaching. Here's the formula that you got to use to become elite. The industry does not matter. My wife and I have so much confidence that not only we're making a whole lot of money, we have a casino in Oklahoma. We help them win and have the highest customer satisfaction scores in the history of their casino through coaching. We had a medical device company. We helped them grow by 60 million in 12 months. I told Bill Allen in my call. I said, Bill, you're too freaking nice. You don't charge enough. You might be pissed at me. I said, Bill, you don't charge enough, bro. I mean, you teach these people how to become big time in commercial real estate for $2,500 a month? Bro, you need to jack up your price. Does that make sense? Oh, I'm sorry. You probably, I used to like this dude. I do not like him anymore. I told Bill, like, you don't charge enough, bro. That's just real talk. Here's a formula that if you use this formula, you can teach and become elite in almost anything. The industry does not matter. You guys ready? I've been pounding a couple of them. One, you gotta have a coach. Obviously a good coach. 2, a great coach has a system. What is Weight Watchers? What is Jenny Craig? What was Dr. Atkins? Freaking system, right? So you have to have a coach. Great coaches have systems. Phil Jackson had the triangle offense. You guys, you real basketball nuts, know about the triangle offense. Phil Jackson left Chicago, didn't take anybody with him, but he took his system. And he plugged in Kobe and Shaq and Robert Horry and Derek Fisher into his system. What did he do in LA? He won championships in Chicago, and he went to LA as the coach, and he took his system, didn't take any players. And he won championships in LA. Why? Because he's a legendary coach and he has an amazing system. Watch this. Michael Jordan goes to the Wizards without his coach and without his system. How'd he look? The greatest basketball player of all time looked horrible. Tiger Woods has no coach and no system. What happened to Tiger Woods? In other words, what the hell's gonna happen to you without a coach and without a system? You gotta have a coach. A great coach has a system. Here's the big one. You gotta commit. You gotta commit. And that's on you. You gotta commit. I didn't start my freshman year. I went to my coach's office. I said, Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? I didn't tell Bill this story. He laughed in my face. He said, son, you don't play for me. Sitting on the bench. I said, Coach, what do I need to do, man? My dream is dying. What do I need to do, Coach? Your job is to help me win. Freaking laughed. He said, son, you don't play for me. I said, I know, Coach. but I'm going to become somebody different. I believe in you, coach. I might not look like it. I'm a little chubby. But what do I need to do, coach? He said, son, you got to lose about 15 pounds. And you got to knock down to 3. If you lose 15 pounds and knock down to 3, then you can play in the NBA. Go talk to our personal trainer. Go talk to our nutritionist and grab one of our assistant coaches, and they're going to go in the gym and work with you. He gave me the roadmap, and he gave me the resources. He gave me the roadmap. He gave me the resources, but he couldn't commit for me. That's why you're here. You got a great coach. They have the freaking roadmap. But some of you guys are on the fence saying, I'm good, man, I'm good. Well, I used to be good, but it cost me. I used to be good, and I paid for it. Yeah, I played in the NBA, I was winning. But I cried in my wife's arms because I had a great opportunity that I didn't take full advantage of. I told my wife, babe, I'm gonna be great at something. I'm gonna be great at something. So when I picked up that guy, my very first business coach, had the nerve to have a bad attitude. And I was like, man, let me get myself together. And one day, transformation. You gotta have a coach. Great coaches have methodologies. But if you commit, the 4th phase is time. Coach, methodology, commit time. Coach, methodology, commit time. Your kid wants to be good in karate? Coach, methodology, commit time. You got a young hockey player? Coach, methodology, commit time. You want to be great in real estate? Coach, methodology, commit time. I'm a Hall of Fame motivational speaker who's retired. My next goal is to become an expert in transformation on the level of Tony Robbins. So I got a coach, and I commit $5,000 a month to this coach. And I'm committed. And already, in 4 months, we made our money back. And today you're benefiting from my coaching. Think about all the people you can bless. Think about your kids. Think about your grandkids. Think about your community. Think about your town. Think about your future. Think about your legacy. Think about all the wonderful things you can do if you become an expert in commercial real estate. So if you have another level to get to, just raise your hand. Matter of fact, just stand up. If you have another level to get to, just stand on your feet. Be bold right now. Be bold right now. Just stand on your hands, raise your hand, and say, well, I got another level to get to. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Walk out that aisle, go in the back, and just do it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Talk yourself into it. I gave you the formula. Just right now, go. You had your hand up. Go to the back. Go sign up. Because if you don't take advantage of this opportunity, it goes away. Now all of a sudden, 3 years go by. 4 years go by. And you still good. Why? Because you didn't commit. You had a wonderful opportunity. But you held you back. My first keynote that started our business. No one can stop you but you. If the teacher gives out A's, you can get it. If commercial real estate gives out A's, even you can get one. The only thing that's going to hold you back, and I'm going to close with this because it's powerful. You got to believe you're meant for more. It's just simple. The psychology of breaking through your barrier. You gotta believe you're meant for more. I was comfortable in the NBA because somewhere deep in my psychology, I didn't recalibrate. Because I didn't believe. I flunked out my first high school because I didn't believe. My coaches built my confidence. My coaches taught me their methodology. All I had to do was commit, guys, and be patient with the process. And to this day, I honor all my coaches because they helped me transform and become elite. If you got a next level to get to me, knowing what I know in sports and in business, you'd be an absolute fool not to sign up for a program that only costs 25 grand. I'm paying $5,000 a month for one coach, $10,000 a month for the other coach, and thank God my personal trainer is very, very, very affordable. Well, that's almost, what, $15,000 a month that I'm investing in me. Why? Because I believe I'm worth it. You will invest in you the moment you convince yourself that you too are worth it. God bless you guys.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough.
On there, like the top one from Ken Baker. I'm like, ah.
Y'all go let that song ride for a little bit. That All I Do Is Win song. Thing rides, gotta let it play. Hope y'all enjoyed Walter Bond. Just really cool, motivating, inspiring human being. I'm going down to his house in Boca to play golf with him here in a little bit, and I'm just going to be a sponge and learn as much as I can from that guy. He's got a ton of experience. Obviously, got to have a pretty strong work ethic to play in the NBA, and then you quadruple or whatever his income speaking. So I'm looking forward to picking his brain. But yeah, Walter Bond, cool human being. Hope y'all enjoyed that. It's not cheap to get him to come speak at our events. He's a very highly sought after motivational speaker. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to transition now back to commercial real estate sector. We're going to talk about the state of the market. I'm going to bring back on a face that you've seen before. Does anybody need to take a break? Give me a 6 if you want to take a break and an 8 if you want to keep going in the chat. 6 if you want to take a 5-minute break, and 8 if you want to just keep it on rolling. 8, 6, 6. Oh, we're taking a little break. Oh, no, we're not taking a break. Here we go. God, I'm like 50-50. 6 is rolling in. All right, everybody, we're taking a 5-minute break. I'm starting the next presentation in 5 minutes. So you get a 5-minute break, and then we're going into the state of the market. I saw a lot of 6s. I'm sorry for my 8s. Calvin, I saw you throwing an 8, brother. I know you were the first one to throw an 8 in there, but I got a lot of 6s that trailed after you. So 5-minute break. 106. I'm playing the next. Throw some music back on, host, if you could. And in 4 minutes from now, we're going into the state of the market.